About time I got to sleep. Here's where she is.
Y'all ready? Just need to open back up, just hit the gavel and go at it.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're back at it, y'all. I'm doing our budget reviews, and at this time, I'm gonna turn it over to you to start with, if that's okay. And you kind of lead us in the direction that you want us to go in, and then we'll entertain questions amongst ourselves and you, and we'll get
Mr.
it.
Chairman, before he begins, can I just say that this morning I received word that we now have enough funding pledged to fully fund the Newton Grove Library.
I saw that.
I've got a $7,000 pledge from Mr. Tommy Heron
Good
from
deal.
Hog Slab.
That's good.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I do appreciate that. And I also want to say that I appreciate the people in our communities that have really stepped up. That deserves, I like what Dan's doing, that deserves a round of applause. They've made our job a lot easier, and I know it was a tough decision on them with things as we're moving forward, but I hope they understand that we do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because we do. And I know that most of those ones that we've talked about appreciate what we're trying to do, so it's a give and take. All right, it's on you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, just one note with the donation. We will need to go back in and look at the part-time individuals in the library. But first, we'll look at everyone that's there and the schedules, and we would only look at bringing a temporary or limited term part-timer on board if we cannot physically cover the hours back in operation at all the branches. And that's something that we'll share that with Ms. Kelsey Edwards over at the library. But if they cannot cover with the people that we have left, we will need to bring in more people. Nancy, will you follow up in that regard?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So, Mr. Chairman, I thought it'd be a good time to do a recap of the last couple of days. The board's heard from departments from all across county government, and I believe if you've heard what I've heard, maybe I'll say what I've heard. What I've heard is we really did cut. The departments have given up a lot. The themes that I heard repeatedly that were probably the most difficult for departments, first of all, was some of the training. And you can see from some of our employment numbers, I think Ms. Dillman gave yesterday the number of employees we have under 5 years of service, things like that. So that's important information. And maybe it's important information the public should be made more aware of, where our employment records stand, how many employees are very young in the organization, young in their, at least to Sampson County. Mm-hmm. They may have had some experience somewhere else, but we were tracking who's young in Sampson County employment. But so travel and training are important to get best practices from other places and to bring that back to Sampson County. The other thing that we heard, of course, yesterday afternoon was how other jurisdictions around us are in fact looking at either merit or COLA increases or a combination thereof, which means that you are competing for workers that are also looking at other places to be hired. At the same time, there's certainly the community to consider. You have a community that is not all affluent, and when you look at a property tax increase, that's a difficult thing.
My apologies, I thought I had no problem.
So, that's a hard thing as well. We talked about over the last couple of days how you have 3 things at your disposal right now. You have cuts, but you know from talking to department heads, aside from programs or additional positions, there's been cut about all that can be cut. You have the property tax increase, and you have fund balance. And we know based on where we're estimating things, you'll be at 26, 27 million in fund balance on July 1, less whatever you choose to appropriate to balance the budget. And I had hoped to come in early enough this morning that I could have done a graphic, because I was thinking about the scales. So it's kind of like you go to the grocery store and you're weighing produce, or the scales of justice, you know, it's one or the other. It's more like that, a double-sided scale. And so right now you've got revenues and expenditures that are pretty tight together. You're using only 1.3 million to bring revenues and expenditures right about in line. And you'll have some amount of vacancies, which means you're not going to spend that salary money, so a portion of that 1.3 you will not have to spend, but I don't know how much that is. So you're almost dead even. But you know that there are things that aren't in that figure that's dead even. And that's how I came up with a proposed 6 cent increase. And the things that aren't in balance right now are increase appropriation to the school system, that was 2 pennies, and 1 penny for your own capital reserve, a half a cent to the community college for their capital, and that's not capital reserve, that is ongoing maintenance. Now maybe I should stop saying capital and just say ongoing maintenance. So a half a penny is their ongoing maintenance and expenses for their facilities. So that's 3.5 cents. Sheriff vehicles, ambulances, replacements, and at least for the ambulances you buy this year are the ones that show up 1.5 years from now. Mm-hmm. So they're not the ones you get right now. We're trying to get one right now because the one that got in a wreck and was totaled, we're using that insurance money and trying to get it. And as you heard yesterday, it's a demo model. A demo model just means it's out there as a demo. But if we can get that demo model, we don't have to wait 18 months to get it online. So that's what we're after. We're after the floor model. Mm-hmm. So the last half cent was for county buildings. And if you were looking at the things to cut immediately, I do believe, and I wouldn't have proposed this if I didn't think you needed all of those things. Okay, you will have county buildings that need new roofs and HVAC systems and boilers and chillers. So that half a penny will be used. It would be used for that. And you're going to have school buildings just like Sampson Middle School that have roof repairs. In fact, I know this afternoon at 1 o'clock you're going to have. The reason we have all these chairs over here beside us is that you have the 3 school systems, members of their boards, well, 2 school systems and 1 community college, members of their boards, they're all going to be here. And I know that what you'll hear is you have old school facilities. And those of you who work in schools, like Commissioner Lee, you know that there are newer ones and there are older ones, but a lot of your school facilities are over 50 years old. And I think that you'll hear that today. And so you will have a need for repairs of stuff. And I guess I'm saying all this to tell you, I didn't propose 6 cent lightly. I didn't propose 6 cents because it seemed like a good round number. I really did look at the things you're going to face in the future. However, among the things that are covered by that 6 cent, the 2 pennies for education, and your ambulances and your patrol cars, that's 4 pennies. I don't really see a way around that. And then, or at least I don't see a way around having to fund those things. I'll put it that way. And I don't see a way to let the community college go without their ongoing maintenance, their annual maintenance. If you were going to have to set something aside, the thing I would set aside first would be the capital that you will have in the future, but you do have a fund balance, and you could hit that first. So those are just some things to think about. You certainly do have a fund balance, The other that you can look at, the other thing to think about are the other things you've heard, travel and training that's not happening this year, a COLA that's not happening this year. And what also kind of struck me, and the reason I did this yesterday and last night, this morning, is if I'm a member of the public and I hear that the Board of County Commissioners is thinking about a tax increase, you know, you think about government overall, and state government, and federal government, and national government, local government, and overall, people have kind of a distrust for government. But surveys have repeatedly shown that people have the most trust in local government. Local government has more trust than state or federal, because the more removed you are from the people, the more likely you are to lose touch and to really get drawn away from what's most important. So I think that people do have the most trust in local government, and I think one way that you could help build trust is what I put before you this morning, and that is thinking about guidelines for the following year. What I've heard the commissioner say is, you know, if you had to consider a tax increase one year, you most certainly would not want to consider a tax increase 2 years in a row. So 2 years in a row would be very difficult. And if you wanted to have something like a resolution instructing what government was going to go toward in the following year, it might look something like this. One change that I've made in this is I heard yesterday certainly about what other places are doing. The average salary increase among all surveyed cities and counties is 3.1%. So on your Excel spreadsheet, I did give you and I can actually just probably put this on the screen. If that is that on? Is the screen on this morning, Gene? So it's a spreadsheet you had before you. I've added a couple columns that you haven't had before. Yeah, mine's in. Is the plug in that one? So on the sheet you've got, and we'll have it on the screen in a second too, but column 1, it just shows you different options for FY27. The 25% public education funding formula, that amount, once again, it varies based on what the tax increase is or what the tax rate total revenues of the past calendar year. So that has not changed. I added a 3% COLA. 3% COLA, each single percentage for a cost of living adjustment is $339,000. So if you had a 3% COLA a year from now, that will be the equivalent of about $1,017,000. Now that is based on there not being a cost of living adjustment this year. If you have a cost of living adjustment this year, then that is added to the salary of everyone. So a 3% COLA next year would be higher than $339,000. Sure. A 2% COLA is below that. That is $339,000, $678,000, and then a $500 flat bonus per employee is $285,000. And travel and training, I just put in 100,000. So if in fact you chose one of those things, it doesn't look like the TV's plugged in.
It is.
It is. If you chose one of those, then you'd have to balance it with revenues. You probably will still get $600,000 in increased tax base from just new growth in the county. So $600,000 of whatever it is probably covered. And anything over $600,000 would probably be fund balance. I don't think you'll get any, right now I don't think you'll get any more sales tax revenue than we're estimating now. So I think you'll be pretty steady on sales tax revenue. The only other change that would really occur is if you were fortunate enough to get a new sales tax authorization. But if you got a new sales tax authorization, that would have to go to a referendum, more than likely. So you'd be looking at a referendum maybe this November, and then you would have to have that in place, and then the board would have to institute any sales tax that was approved by referendum for the following year.
So if everything fell in place on the sales tax, you're still looking at 27 before it's ever usable in this county.
Right. You will not have a sales tax in 26.
That's what I was thinking.
But you could use fund balance in the anticipation of
getting it.
coming, and so use the fund balance to float us until the following year.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
You would probably have a sales tax in 27. I mean, you could have a sales tax in 27 if the General Assembly approved something now, and then you had in November of 25 a referendum, then by July of 26 for the 26-27 budget, you could have a sales tax. So if you believe that was a possibility, you could absolutely use some more fund balance to float you until you had sales tax in place.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to get ahead of your comments there, Jeff, Mr. Hudson, but I would point out that if we do a 6-cent tax increase and then we go to referendum in November for the sales tax, the public might say, well, we've already gotten a 6 cents increase. I'm going to vote against the sales tax, and then we don't get it. If we pared the tax increase back to 4.5 cents and made it clear that if the sales tax comes through, we can keep it at 4.5 cents. But if the sales tax were to be voted down, we would be forced to go back the following year with another penny and a half. So please vote yes to the sales tax, because otherwise we'll have to give another tax increase next year. That would be more likely to help get the referendum passed, but some would argue that we probably need in the long run both the 6 cent and the sales tax.
That's right.
So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
It's really like you said, scales of justice.
And a half
right now.
cent sales tax would mean about $3.8 million for you in recurring revenue.
Yeah.
And a penny is $704,000. But if you were setting aside, if you had to set aside something out of the 6, and you set aside the penny that's going to public school capital, I would say that your sales tax would be going for public schools more than likely. So the penny that you set aside from the property tax for public schools could directly correlate with the sales tax that would be for public schools. So I think that makes a lot of sense. In the meantime, if anything happened, and you do have other roofs that are in need of repair. It's just the worst one was apparently Sampson Middle School.
Yeah,
That's right.
So if another roof at a school or at a county building failed, you have to go to your fund balance.
Yeah.
And it's up on the screen, so it's kind of what I was talking to you about. I did add yesterday when we were talking about the radio tower, this right here, which is $2 million for radio tower.
Right.
But that also might be something the state could help out on. Certainly the lobbyists that the county's employed are looking at that. Once again, we've talked in the past about GFL and the convenience centers. That's a negotiation piece for sure. Hobden High School, you do have 4.2 million there, and that's coming out of state money or fund balance, one of the other. Or if you got the sales tax money, it's coming out of sales tax money. I mean, that's the other thing, and I should probably add that, or sales tax. So if thank you. So if you're looking at what you're doing this year, I think it's starting a new good habit. I'll put it that way. It's starting a really new good habit to look at not only this year, but let's look at next year. Because what got you in part to where we're at now is only looking at what's right in front of you. So if you're making a decision now about this budget, what's on the screen can help you say, all right, well, the decision we make now could be affecting next year as well. I think that you should not do a tax increase 2 years in a row. I think if you do get the sales tax, I think it takes a big burden, or it helps take the burden off of you for schools. I know that next year's not here, but a resolution changed any which way you want to change it, which gives direction for next year, would broadcast to the public what your intentions are. And for the benefit of the media in the room, I wrote this on my own as a draft. Okay, this is not something dictated to me from the county commissioners. This is, if I'm the incoming county manager, I would want to know what the thoughts of the board are this coming year, and this would give the incoming county manager guidance. In fact, I have had a conversation with Mr. Van. I did not do this, and I operate no surprises. So I did have a conversation with him, and I did share this with him as well. He is not in any way opposed to having this type of guidance to help him with his first budget, which would be FY27. He did not disagree with anything. I also believe that he does have concerns over such things as, how taxes are used, maintaining a strong fund balance, and also making sure that you do retain and recruit the best and brightest employees, because he and I both agree the main thing that you provide the citizens is service, and you have to have good employees to do that. So those are all certainly considerations.
Do you think it would be fair to say that this would actually provide him a level of comfort that he would have more time to dedicate towards staff development and resolving other issues that we've identified, and provide him more time to prepare for the budget in the coming year?
The main thing a county manager needs is the direction of the board, and we started that when we were in this room with the goals. So this would help him. If I were coming in as your permanent manager and I had this would help me a lot. And so I emailed this to him yesterday. We had a conversation early this morning, and he does believe that this would help him in the future as well. But as I told him, I think one thing that this would do is it would help inform the public what your intentions are. That if you believe that you do need to either use fund balance or to have a tax increase, that you're being mindful of the fact that in a year you have these other considerations, but are yet you are committed to not having a property tax increase 2 years in a row. Now, obviously, things change. So, for instance, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. If hypothetically all 5 of you said, we're doing a 3% COLA this year. Well, if you did a 3% COLA this year, it may be that you change what percentage COLA you have next year. Maybe next year you say, well, we're okay doing a 2% next year. If you do nothing this year, it may be that you want to do a 3% next year, a full 3%, because other people are doing 3% now or more. I don't believe that you need to fall backward in terms of your recruitment policies. However, looking at where you're at in the budget, trying to bring revenues and expenditures as closely as possible together, I originally recommended a 2.6%. And you may recall that was in the first round of cuts. Only because, 2.6% is well over $1 million. So I'm just trying to get revenues and expenditures as close as absolutely possible, not knowing where you will end up at the very end of the year on your fund balance. But now you know, closer to the end of the year, we've got things at a level. You know you're going to have 27 million in fund balance. You know that there are things not covered by the budget, and you know what they are. They're that 6 cent that's in your budget book. And so now it's the balance. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go on travel and training, if anything at all? Where do you want to go on a COLA this year, if anything at all? And where do you want to position yourself for next year when you know these other things are coming? Including maybe, sales tax.
I would, I get everything that our desire to want to add back, but I would just be careful wanting to add too much back. And as far as the travel and training, I wouldn't want to add too much back. I know it may be insignificant in the long run, but we need to at least show that we're being as frugal as possible. And the only ones I would want to possibly add back personally would be for the managers who indicated that the travel is so important to them that they're willing to pay for it out of pocket. That tells me that they're highly committed to that convention or that training session, and it's that important to their position, whereas managers who may not be as willing to do that indicate to me that it's not as important to them in their position. I don't know, that's just the way I look at it from a practical standpoint. We did it with Ann Knowles, and then the only other person that mentioned they were willing to pay for it out of pocket was the Register of Deed. And I think hers was even smaller in cost than the veteran services. I think it was less than $1,000.
It was $800.
I'd be willing to help her out with her travel. I just would hate to start backing up too much on the cuts we've made, or the cuts that the managers made.
Two other bits of information. One is Melissa has come up to speed on everything that we've addressed so far over the last 2 days. You are approximately $59,489 to the good. So we are still in net reductions of about $59,000. So if there was something else that, and these are cuts, let me be careful how I say this as well, because I just used the wrong language. This is the stuff that we found that was a miskey, it was an error. So Abby, it wasn't cuts, it was, we found a truck that should have been cut but was still left in, 683 pages. In 683 pages, there's going to be a miskey or a double type somewhere, and so we've taken care of everything that we've talked about that we needed to fix, and with the small typographical errors that we have now corrected, we are 59,000 to the good. So for instance, if you wanted to put in the Register of Deeds budget $800, you're now $58,200 to the good. And if you said to the History Museum, $20,000 is not something, so we'll do better than that, then et cetera, et cetera. We haven't talked about the History Museum. I know you've been getting public comment on that, as well as the libraries. So right now, without touching a drop more of fund balance, and without doing anything other than a 6 cent increase in taxes, you have an extra $59,489.
You have an extra 59.
The correcting small errors throughout the budget, we've ended up at $59,489.
How much money we put back for History Museum this time?
They requested a little over 80, Stephanie.
They've been getting 60.
They've been getting 60, we have 20. And the email correspondence is that they can't operate at 20.
We've had several budget comments on the History Museum as well. I'm looking at their requests right now.
You said they operated 60,000, right?
They've requested 60. Well, actually, they requested, over 80. Someone will have to pick that up, what page that is.
And you originally cut them out completely, and then you went back to 20.
Yes, sir, I did. And my only reasoning there, not that I went to the History Museum. I wanted to tell them in person. I didn't want them to read about it. No matter how good the newspaper was, I wouldn't want anyone to read about it in the paper. So I went to them in person and talked to them. Then I met with the director and I said, look, it's not that I don't like history museums. Is that if I have to fund something, I'll fund a county department before I'll fund an outside agency. But we were able to put back 20, but at 20 they left a budget, and their power bill alone is over $14,000 just for the power bill.
They requested $76,598.
Thank you. Okay, $76,598 was their request, and last year we did 60.
Yes.
And so right now they're at 20. So that's something for the board to consider as well. But it's not a county department, it's an outside agency, and it's not mandated.
I would like for us to look at also, while we're looking at the History Museum, at travel for our employees. That's very important for that training. It puts you in a different place. We should
So
see
Ms.
what-
Lee, would you prioritize the need for more travel funding over the History Museum needs?
I would,
Yeah.
Yeah, same
I
here.
really would,
Same.
because employees are what's doing our work. The History Museum is not.
That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah,
And they're doing they're doing the work for the people in the county.
and it's needed because some of the training they get is all new to them, some of it.
And with what Ms. Nancy said yesterday about the age of our workforce, a lot of them are younger, and as far as their experience, and so the training is essential for that. So
Yeah.
like I've said, that I want to be careful us backing up on the cuts that have been made, but if we are going to back up, it needs to be in the right direction.
That's right,
So,
that's right.
uh,
Yeah,
I would be more in favor of backing up on the travel than I would be on the History Museum. Not that I don't love the History Museum.
I know.
I've already committed to giving money to the History Museum, but
Traveling. is
personal
needed,
money,
yeah.
but they need to be trying to drive their donations. So I can't see giving them 60,000.
And looking at fees, or if they can charge people to come and look or something,
That's
since
free.
they need money. I'm sure the schools and stuff that go take the kids there would pay something.
Yeah,
It wasn't but $1.
Yeah, but it's not about $1.
yeah.
I mean, these are just, I like the discussion. This is what we're here for.
Ms. Dillman, the program that was put on several years ago where UNC Wilmington came here and provided training, how much did it cost the county at that time, ballparking it?
Remember it off the top of my head, because that was in 2019. I'm thinking around 25,000, and that was for our department heads only, and it was a year-long training. But that number comes to mind, but please don't quote me on that, because I haven't looked it up recently. But they came every month once, and we spent a full 8 hours each month with all department heads. And we've got a couple at the back that were part of it. I think they can attest to the value of that. And then we lost it with COVID. But it was a true investment. But there again, we've got to
That's the leadership
sustain it and develop grow some leaders within instead of just taking our department heads. We've got other folks, we've got to train those
Everybody needs to
supervisors.
train.
That's what I was worried about too, because you got like your inspection department and stuff, and they've got a lot of training that they've got to go through, and we cut that out. We're limiting.
That's right.
We can't cut theirs out.
No, sir, we didn't cut
You
out
didn't cut-
travel and
that's what I
training that was mandated for licensure.
I got that, but I mean, there's some others that's in the other departments that really is beneficial, and
And
I
some
just,
of it we can do internally, but it takes a commitment there too of the training materials, the time away from the positions and
still
the time
takes
to
some,
do the training.
still we've got money involved, I understand. In-house.
We need to train those that are not in leadership right now
Yeah, right.
because they are
That's the Jordan.
promoted, they're getting
Jordan got his
promoted,
hand up.
and they would have that training.
And they're open to it. We were ready to start our second leadership cohort,
Jordan.
already had it lined up,
Hand up.
ready to pay for to go with potential leadership. And they were very excited about it. And of course, we had to cut it out because of COVID. But there is a need and our employees want the training because we're putting them in positions unprepared for what they're facing. Yeah, we're just operating in silos
It
again.
wasn't just a 3-day either, we had to have homework that had to be done and books that had to be read and, things like that. So it wasn't just to go sit and have lunch together and stuff like that. It was a day of education every month, and then you had homework that was due
The next
time
day.
you came.
I can attest to this.
I'll add to Dana's
Not
comments.
playing.
The one thing, there was two very good things to think of. Was the department heads were in that class, and the next cohort, Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong, was gonna be like supervisors, correct?
Correct.
And,
Yeah, they're still calling wanting to know when they're gonna get their chance.
yeah, but the cohesiveness that it brought to the department heads as learning, learning is the wrong word, but becoming more associated with what everybody does, with the meeting, with the regular. There was so much gain from it, and at the same time, we were working on customer service initiatives on the other side, and those two things were elevating the whole total service package of the county departments and employees, and then COVID guys. I mean, I could talk all day about the benefit from it, and it's really neat. I mean, it really was making a good benefit for the community, for the county. It was helping tell our story too.
Good, that's what we gotta
And
do.
you may have already answered the question, but how much did that cost?
I said, I really don't
You don't
remember. I'm
remember.
thinking in the range of 25,000, but that was 6 years ago. I really
It
don't
may
remember
have
the
probably
exact amount.
changed, it's probably more expensive.
More expensive.
It's gonna be
Everything
more
else is going up, that might as well do
expensive,
that.
but UNC, if we went with the same program, UNCW has tweaked it because the folks that did that program have since retired, and they were looking at offering something via Zoom that we could do, but our folks talked about the importance of being together and instead of sitting behind a computer getting language.
I agree.
They felt the day was pulling us together out of our silos and working interchangeably, so they didn't feel like the benefit would be there to do it online.
I feel like that would be money well spent.
Yeah,
I think you're
that's
right.
right.
Instead of putting individual monies back into individual departments, would it be better to allocate a pot of money to either put under administration or human resources, where the county manager, the department head, and human resources director can evaluate the training needed for that person, and then they can do a budget amendment if need be to transfer it to that department or pay for it out of that. That way, you just don't, you've got some control over what supervisor, because I know Ms. Burton has got some folks that are gonna probably need to get some certifications.
And I was part of that second leadership cohort. I think we had done like 1 day online or something.
We did
And
a
then-
preliminary
Yeah,
assessment.
something like that. And at the time when I was the deputy finance officer, so that was, something that we something that look forward to.
And I think we need to put some emphasis on applying to the credit union for scholarship opportunities for the municipal and county administration courses. And that would, I think that'll cover the cost of the tuition, and then we would only be on the hook for the room and board.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would, two things. If you're going to put travel and training back, I think it should be in HR, where the training line should be. And I do believe that every year you should look at 2 people, ideally to go to the municipal and county administration school. You need to grow more of your senior management, so that you don't have a situation that you had before where someone leaves and they're the only people that knew kind of what was going on. I think that you need to grow senior management.
That's right.
And 2 people should go to county administration school every year.
May I add one more thing too? We're talking about 2 department heads that talked about being willing to pay for their travel. We have department heads paying for their own travel now because they didn't feel like they could do it with their budgets, and it wasn't budgeted. So we've got folks now that do things and just pay for it out of pocket. They may not have said that, it may not be $800 or $1,500, but little things add up, and they're not gonna let their department suffer because of, $100.
But the caveat on any training that's approved for anybody, it has to be an individual who is willing to share the knowledge and
That's
come
it.
back and develop other employees.
You're right.
Thank you.
You're right.
Just because a person's
That's
been
what's
here for
important.
20
That's right.
It doesn't need to be based
Right.
on whether they've been here for 10, 15, or 20 years. It should be based on their capability to interact with others and spread that knowledge.
Bring it back. That's right.
I agree.
And
You're right.
if I could add just a second to that, I've had employees in the past that wanted to go to conferences. There is a difference in a conference and a training.
Thank you.
Now, if you go to a conference, there are sections that you can attend where you do pick up best practices and things like that. You can make connections, but at the spot that you're in now, I would say I would prioritize trainings over conferences.
Yeah.
So I had rather send 2 people to municipal and county administration school where they will network
Yeah.
with other people across North Carolina, learn best practices, and be trained and understand county government better. I'd rather do that than to send 10 people to a conference that they just have attended the last few years and enjoyed going to because their friends are there.
That's the difference.
I think that's the best route we could take is the training, because at conferences you go anyway. I mean, some of the workshops you don't have to go to, some of them you do, but with training,
Training,
you
yeah.
go in for that specific training, and that's what you're gonna get. So the training is better, and that would be best managed through HR
I agree.
and the supervisors. They would know better how to handle that.
And your manager would have the ability to move, training money from one general fund department to another, or HR can just book the training. I mean, I've been in plenty of places where HR books the training and guides employees and where they go to get trained. It's all, if the check's coming from Sampson County, no matter which department it's coming from, it's all coming right through that lady right there.
That's it.
The Leadership Academy could potentially cost $30,000. And
Potentially.
the registered deeds needs to 800, so that, for all practical purposes, leaves just under another $30,000.
Right.
So would it be a good idea to go ahead and move $800 into the registered deeds and $30,000 into HR for training purposes, and then reserve the balance of that into a special account at the discretion of the incoming manager, so that he might determine that there might be needs that he sees when he comes in with his fresh eyes, that he can use $30,000 for at his discretion, or
put it in special projects.
Special projects.
It's an admin administered budget.
I mean, that's just a thought. I'm not directing you to do that, but I mean, I would ask the board that we go ahead and direct Ms. Burton to move the 800 into the register of deeds. If Mr. Chairman, if that's okay with the board.
I'm good with that. Y'all good with that?
Good.
I'm good, because I don't think she needs to pay it out of pocket, so.
It's in the budget. It's one that-
That's for registered deeds.
Yeah. And I still think we need to go ahead and push some money over for our travel,
Training.
and training.
That's good.
I've heard two different setups in place. We know it's 30,000 for what we're talking about doing for our training for our upper, I call it our next level, and then training for our other one. So, to me, the minimum needs to be put over is, like you said, would be, what do we say, 30 for one, and then the rest of what, that 59 that we're over needs to be put in a special fund somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's stay. I'm not trying to use, I want to be stay right balanced where we're at right now, and then we'll move forward. So we got 59,000 minus 800 minus 30,000, and then whatever you got left there on your calculator. My mathematician people.
You just made a lot of people very happy with that.
I know.
28,689, and I totally agree with giving the new manager flexibility, and he may see a need or want to develop people. If you put the other 28,689 in
Special fund for
in a
the man.
special fund that the manager has access to for training purposes, I think that would be the way to go.
You give it
I'm fine with that.
that? Y'all fine with that? I think we've done what we were trying to do for this county.
That still takes out the 30,000 for the training.
Yes, we got 30 plus the other, and he's got discretion to use it for training.
Right.
We'll earmark it that he has to use that money for training or whatever, which I know he'll come back with us, so we're
Yep.
good.
So I've got 59,489 less 800 to the register of deeds, less 30,000 to the training line item in HR to be used for different departments, and then and the remainder is 28,689, if I did that right?
That's what I got.
28,689, and Melissa, that's going to where?
It's a it's an administration funded budget. I'm looking for the number right now.
Okay, it'll be special project earmark training under the manager's discretion.
You good with that?
And so that puts you at level.
Now the fun starts.
That's good.
All right.
So I've got on the screen where the taxes were, and just as a reminder, right now your fund balance appropriation is $1,312,332. So $1,312,332, $1,312,332. Every penny of the tax rate is $704,000. Every 1% COLA is $339,000. And this is the 6 cent. So 2 cent going to public education current expense. That's the annual operating. 1 cent the capital reserve fund. So that's that 1 cent right there that I'm highlighting. That's you paying you. Okay, so that's you putting money in your savings for future school needs. Now this ½ cent, that is going out the door every year for Sampson Community College to do their ongoing maintenance. So if you do not do that ½ cent, you need to pull money out of fund balance to let them do
How much
their
were we giving
ongoing
before?
maintenance.
250,000?
You're giving $250,000 a year. What you've been doing is $250,000 a year directly to them for the ongoing maintenance, and you're also appropriating another $112,000 a year or so that you've been setting aside for their future maintenance.
Right, okay.
So that is, this 1/2 penny is $352,000. That's about the equivalent of that. So if you don't do that ½ cent, you need to pull money out of fund balance to give them so they can continue to operate. So it's one or the other.
Okay.
Then you've got 2 replacement ambulances, 13 sheriff's cars, and this ½ cent is county government building capital fund contribution. And that's, once again, this one right there that's highlighted, that's you paying you for future county building stuff. So on the one side, you've got $1,312,000. And on the other side, you've got this. And I did not record anything to date yet on, nothing else. We did record that we have more money coming for the museums. I don't know what that is. We did record, we got more money coming for the museum, for the libraries. So we'll talk with Kelsey about that. And if we can, maybe even Nancy, if we can talk to her about that and report back to the board today if she says, or maybe bring her back over here, if she says that we have to do something else with staffing.
I've already emailed her to get her numbers together.
Thank you, ma'am. And the museum, we had not reported that you're doing anything differently with the museum at this point in time.
Would it be frugal? And we're coming in and we're cutting them all the way to the bone this year. Would it be frugal not to give them their full allotment, but to increase it with the caveat that over the coming year, they need to start identifying grant resources and things of that nature where we're weaning them more? Because I think going in a spirit of fairness, I think it would be better to provide them some direction as to how we're going to go down the road as opposed to just cold turkey cutting them off. How do y'all, I mean,
Talking about libraries of history.
Museum?
history.
I'm making sure we're on the same page. We're good on the library.
Because we're getting a lot of comments on the history museum.
Well,
Yeah,
one thing,
we are.
the one thing that's,
Yeah.
the one thing about the history museum comments is I'd like to wait at least until the public hearing because I think it is serving a benefit that it is educating the public that things are so dire that we've had to resort to cutting things like the history museum. And it's raising awareness in the public's mind.
I agree.
And the longer we hold out, the longer people are talking about it and awareness is being raised that this is something that is being considered. And the public simply, for a long time, is unaware of the constraints that the county faces. Money's not endless. We can't be like the federal government and just have continuing resolutions year after year.
And print more.
So people need to know that we are making these hard decisions for a reason. So I just throw that out there as a thought. I would hate to be too quick to put money back until after the public hearing. I'd like to hear what the people have to say.
And Mr. Jordan just reminded me of one thing, and that is some of the county buildings at the museums, I just saw that, right, thank you, were donated to the county. So some of the 11 buildings, the historical buildings, were donated to the county. So they may be county property located at the History Museum. And I was not aware of that until today.
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you.
That's okay. No, not your fault, not your fault. I was
So
gonna
what does
mention
that incur?
Sir?
They belong to the county and they're at the history museum, so what does that incur? As far as upkeep, maintenance on our behalf, or?
Well, I
Just
mean,
asking.
We're giving them the money to keep the lights on because it costs
Yeah.
$12,000 a year to
We're
keep
giving
the
them
lights
20,
on. We're
so-
giving them 20, so I don't know what else that means. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. They
How much?
under the
just,
care of the museum.
okay.
How much do the city put in?
I don't know,
Because
ma'am.
it serves a purpose for them too.
I don't know if the city puts in any
No,
money.
because it's a county building.
I do know from meeting there with them and from the director that the city has put in money into the building that is adjacent to the older building that they're in.
Right.
There's a large building, it used to be something else, Nancy, it was a mental health center?
The one right next door is
Yes, ma'am.
care,
You care.
you care.
It was what,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
You care.
That's right.
Yes.
And so the city has put considerable money into the renovation of that will house their new offices, conference room, things of that nature. So I know that they're doing that, but I don't know through that, if
Yeah,
that
that's-
is through a grant program
That is two
or direct
different buildings.
appropriation.
That's two
Yes.
different, you
Yes, sir.
care, and then the other building,
The,
between city planners and you care. That's the building they replaced, I worked on.
there's a large white building next to the White House that they're in now.
Right.
And that's being renovated right now, that
Right
they'll
now.
be moving into
And
new
that's
fence
not-
line and that
That's
sort of
not the
stuff.
U-Care building, the U-Care is the one beside the museum.
That's right. That's
There's
right.
3 White Houses
Three
there.
White House, yeah.
And you're
Well,
talking
the
about
one right next to the
this.
museum, I think,
Yeah.
is the one that they're redoing. But, so the city is doing some work for them.
Yes.
And they do the lawn service too.
And lawn service.
And they mow the grass. See, I'm just seeing what our contributions are going both ways. That goes a long ways to when we talk to everybody, you know the whole story.
So, Mr. Chairman, in terms of today and this morning before the Board of Education comes, I mean, it's an opportunity for the commissioners to go through what you've done in the past. Monday night is your public hearing, and obviously you can't make the decision before Monday night. I would probably not recommend that you make a decision Monday night. I would say that you probably need to listen to the public, then recess that meeting Monday night, come back if possible, perhaps Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. And after everyone's had a chance to digest everything that the public has said and provided to you, at that point in time, that's when that you would have to make a decision, give direction to Melissa on what to put in a budget ordinance. In the past, when I've done this, we would meet in the morning. The commissioners would decide which way exactly you want to go. So you would settle, for instance, on, all right, we're going to use this much fund balance, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Finance officer, put it in the budget ordinance. We're going to recess for 4 hours and come back. And then you recess, we type, you come back, you're presented the actual document that you then vote on. So there's a little bit more to this process, but you have some time. You don't have your absolute drop dead deadline until June 30th. So it's important to hear the public.
I agree. That's a big deal.
What I indicated to you, Alan, is I don't want to vote on it Monday night. I want to let it marinate.
My suggestion, but what you just said, I like the word marinate.
Yeah.
I need that Tuesday to absorb and kind of process what we hear that night. I don't want to come back in here Tuesday morning and we haven't given maybe a few other people time to say something and we come back in Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go ahead and put that kind of on our agenda. We know that Wednesday, we're going to come back in here and we're going to give you direction. You do your typing, we come back in at 3:30, whatever, then we decide. Well, we decide that morning, then you present it and we go. Are we all good with that?
I'd
That
say
gives us
Thursday.
time to think.
I would feel better with Thursday.
That gives us.
That's a bad day for him, that's what he's not saying.
No.
Like us at church on Thursday night.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do Tuesday or
I was
Wednesday.
trying to avoid that one.
Let's do Tuesday or Wednesday.
No, we
Could
don't
wait
need
till
to
June
drag it
30th.
out.
Hey, I think you got that down on that one real quick. We'll wait till
Mr.
2:30.
Chairman, I make a motion to recess to reconvene on June 30th.
Don't y'all second that.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, I know you are. Oh, wait.
But I do think the public needs to have sufficient time to have
That's
their
right.
comments.
Have their say.
And then to let it hang in the air for a few days.
At the end of the day, we represent the public and that's what we need to
That's
get from.
Give the time for the newspaper to print their story and get it out there.
Let's do Wednesday.
And let the public be well aware.
That'll help now.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Let's listen to this. If let's say we came back Wednesday afternoon and we give them direction, they do what they want to, then we came back sometime Thursday and see what they had. I know that's 2 trips to Clinton, but you're still gonna have 2 trips anyway you go, because you have a
That's
4-hour layover.
That's right.
So we can do it in 2 days. We can do it, we can come that afternoon on Wednesday, we go over it, then we got from, everybody eat lunch, we go from 1 to whatever we need to do on Wednesday. Then we come back Thursday morning, y'all have everything typed up. Whenever you tell me what time Thursday morning,
That's not quite enough time if we're gonna be here all Wednesday afternoon.
I hope we're not gonna be here all
Thursday.
We could do Wednesday afternoon, give you direction, and then come back Thursday afternoon,
That
vote
would
on
be a
it.
little bit better, yes.
because
Yeah.
because we're not gonna keep the preacher tied up too long, because I know he's at me. That Thursday's bad, man. So I'm trying to keep the board rolling here. So
Wednesday, they come back Thursday morning. That sounds good.
No, not Thursday morning,
Thursday right after lunch.
Either Thursday afternoon or late Thursday morning, so that.
Can we do everything at 1? Let's say 1 o'clock Wednesday and 1 o'clock Thursday.
That's fine with me.
That good with y'all?
Sounds
I
good.
gotta go check my schedule.
You know, If I could also check my schedule, I have a crown I've put off once. The first time it was supposed to be on the 11th.
We can fix your crown, no problem.
Let me see about the 19th is what comes to me.
Don't change that. We're going, we got time, and we're going to make that's the reason we're talking about it, and I like it, so. But I do definitely need to have that time, like you said, to kind of absorb everything we get from everyone, and we kind of go from there.
I have a doctor's
Let's
appointment
go.
that day too.
Which day?
Thursday. No.
This,
Oh, so Thursday's getting bad.
I was gonna say, I can,
Oh, we don't need you to start. I'm kidding.
Next Thursday is Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, yeah.
You have to
Oh, you kidding.
cancel.
Sure is. It is.
Do it into it Friday.
It starts at 3.
I can do it Friday morning, y'all. I have no problem. That gives her plenty of time to type. And we marinate a little bit, and we don't interfere with the preacher. We still got time to make everything happen.
Friday morning? Wednesday?
I'm good with Friday morning. We'll do
Wednesday,
Monday
Friday
night,
morning?
we'll do Wednesday, and then we'll approve it on Friday. Are you good with that?
yeah,
Monday
I'm not
night.
having a crown on Friday morning, so.
That's what I figured.
Okay.
That's fine.
Let's do that.
So
Said
Monday?
Monday night.
6 o'clock.
Monday night's the
6
public
o'clock.
hearing.
You got that down there, paper lady?
Monday
That's
night-
all you were writing.
Monday night will be the public hearing. We'll
6 o'clock.
reconvene on Wednesday for the
Yeah.
direction, and then
1
on
o'clock.
Thursday, Friday, we'll reconvene for the vote.
That's it.
1 o'clock.
Wednesday at 1 o'clock.
Wednesday at 1,
Friday
and
at-
Friday
And
at,
skip
one.
Thursday.
Let's do 10.
Friday morning?
Yes, we
Yes.
do it 10 o'clock Friday morning.
Friday morning?
Friday at
Friday
10.
morning, as early as y'all want.
9 a.m.
She's got to drive.
10 a.m.
10
a.m.
9 or 10, everybody y'all
10
want,
is
I don't
good,
care.
yeah.
10 gives me time to do some things at the office, which
Okay,
is
10
great.
a.m. Friday morning.
You good with that?
And
Yes, sir.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Monday at 6, right.
Monday
Y'all
at
got-
6.
Now you get to tell Melissa we just changed everything. Let him tell you what we come up with.
All right, go.
Wednesday, 1 p.m. is direction, and then Friday morning at 10 a.m. is vote.
I was secretly thinking mentally, can y'all come Friday morning? Wasn't gonna say that.
It worked, we received it.
The public hearing is at 6 p.m., right, Monday?
Yes, sir.
But I do want to tell the board that I appreciate what we did with it. I appreciate y'all finding that extra, and where we put it at, I think it's gonna serve the county very well. I feel good about what we done with that 59 we found. I think giving it back to our employees and training is a big deal, y'all. I really do.
It's gonna help out.
And I do appreciate it.
It's gonna help a lot.
Now we got to figure out a way to take all this other stuff and make the rest of this county happy, and we'll be good to go, y'all. Nothing to it.
6 o'clock.
What time is that Friday morning?
10.
10.
We're gonna do 1, we'll do 6, 1, and 10. Is that good?
6, 1, and 10, yes,
Yep.
yes, sir.
Everything right here in this room except for
The public hearing.
public
The
hearing.
public hearing will be there, and everything else will be here, and you'll just recess each time. But you already have, Monday night is a called meeting already.
That's true.
At 6 p.m., so you're good to go Monday night. You don't have to recess today to Monday night. That's a separately called meeting. You took a vote on at your last board meeting.
True.
So at the end of today,
You can
you can
adjourn.
just adjourn, and then Monday night, you'll recess to Wednesday and recess to Friday. Also, we have made a few corrections. Like I said, that 59,000 was after we made all corrections. So there were some small items that we needed to amend. So we did amend, for instance, county administration's budget to take into account the things that we need to do for the new county manager. Part of his
Good deal.
contract had a moving allowance, for instance. So we've incorporated everything. We fixed everything in the budgets, and that $59,000 was after we had done all that. So everything we believe is settled. So that's what we're left with. You've had all the big departments. If there's anything else, we can cover those as well. Otherwise, at 1 o'clock, you're going to have a whole room full of educators.
What are you pointing at me for? All right, 1 o'clock, we got a whole bunch of, now if y'all got anything else that you need to throw it, he's right here. If not, we're gonna take another recess and break, and everybody make their phone calls, do what they need to do, and we'll go from there.
And today lunch is not provided.
Yeah, you're on your own.
Of course.
This may be totally inappropriate, but is it okay to open it up to everybody else in the room for any comments? I mean, anything?
Yeah, all the commissioners, you can do whatever you want.
Y'all have any feedback that you're feeling that we're not hearing about?
I would just say I appreciate that. I think the training is much needed from a department, two departments that have people that have retired, and we have new people that really need that training. And I know it wasn't mentioned in every person that came up, but I know for a fact that there are numerous department heads that are paying out of pocket to go to training, because he asked us to cut that, and we cut it, and we all pretty much just agreed we just paid it out of pocket. Because we weren't gonna go to something and not send our staff, that's just not what we were gonna do. So, I appreciate y'all doing that.
And we're going in the right
That means a lot.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Appreciate the compliment. Is there anything that we need to be aware of in the community, any feedback that you guys are hearing that we're not aware of?
They're pretty well, calling you, I think, on what.
Well, it's mainly the History Museum and a little bit of the library, but I'm afraid there may be other things that we may not be seeing or hearing or feeling. I've actually been fairly surprised at the amount of feedback we have gotten has been more over cutting something like the History Museum than it has been about the proposed 6-cent tax increase. That's been very surprising to me.
Which now, given everyone who's been on up front and talking about it, I think that people have been given good direction of what we're facing and what we've had to, what potentially could happen.
Yeah.
And you've done a great job of that. I mean, I'll give you, your comments on that have been great, but, I think that I think people have been very well prepared of the direction we may have to go in. And I think that's part of what we wanted to do as a board, and it's come across very well.
I think y'all have done a great job of being transparent and telling people what the problem is and how y'all are trying to solve it, and the road that we're on. That's the comments that I'm getting. Matter of fact, this morning somebody said they're being too transparent. They're laying all the dirty laundry. I said, hey, it is what it is. I said, but I think that's why there's not been, it's been a targeted tax increase and people see where it's going. I mean, how can you argue against 2 ambulances and 13 sheriff cars? It's hard to argue that, when people pick up the phone and call 911, they want somebody to show up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's been really good, the transparency and the communication up front. Y'all just done a great job with that, and I think that's why I'm not hearing a whole lot in the community about a tax increase.
The first thing I got was when you talk about the ambulances, it was when we were working on the building at Newton Grove, and there was a little bit of a delay in getting some things done, and we were trying to move into the department over there with the fire department. The fire department did a great job of accepting them in and doing the things, but during that time there was some delay of response, and I got more phone calls on that than I did anything. So I like the way we've targeted where our tax increase would be at. I think it's like you said, I think it's really helped us.
The few comments that I've received just from the economic development standpoint are the potential delay of trying to work at the parking meet growth. I had a few of my board members that asked about it, and I told them, so we're going to do the work we can. We're going to sequence and things, but I think that's a concern, and I know the mayor of Newton Grove's excited about it. But I think everybody's understanding as well. But that's one thing that has been said to me by several of the board members and some folks, and mainly for the Newton Grove community.
I agree.
And the way that the department heads were included this year, I just want to say that. We have been able to go back and talk to our employees and talk to the public, people that's asking us about it, and we've been able to be ambassadors for what's fixing to happen right here. And I've had a lot of people tell me, I did not know we were in this bad a condition in this county. That's what everybody has told me. And I laid it flat out for them when they asked me, you know, we spent $11 million of fund balance, or we appropriated it to spend, and we're losing our spending. And there was a $20 million deficit this year, and something had to go. And I told them, I said, my budget is to the bone. If you were to throw the bone to the dog, turn around and bite you and walk away from it. So, I mean, it's, it was good that the whole process has been like it is this year. Totally 180 from what it's been the past several years.
Ma'am, I know that you're a news reporter and you're supposed to be unbiased, but is there any citizen feedback that we're not aware of, that you're aware of, that would be beneficial for us?
I think we're hearing the same things that y'all are hearing, mostly about the library, and we've heard a lot about that, but it sounds like that's being
It's fixed.
fixed, so that's all good. I've heard a little bit about the History Museum, but mainly not as much about the tax increase, like you said. I think y'all have taken care of people's concerns for the most part.
I hope so. We've tried to, I promise you, as a board we
At least
have.
from my perspective.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I know that you have access to the information. If there's something that would be beneficial to us making a decision, that's when we have an opportunity for that. Ms. Jean, you good? You got anything to say?
I would like to thank Mr. Hudson and Nancy and Melissa.
Just
They work hard to get you where you are. And I'd like to thank you all for including in the Senate process. But those three have worked.
Fund balance or something happens, it don't move it.
They've had a lot of pressure. I appreciate all of them.
Mr. Hudson was a godsend for us in a lot of ways.
Yes, yes, I have to say that.
Yes, sir.
Whenever God presents you with a situation, He presents you with an opportunity. And I think He was our opportunity to put a lot of organization into this, and greatly appreciative of him. I'm appreciative of every one of y'all.
Thank you.
I think everybody stepped up to the plate. Everybody has done more than is asked of them, and I'm extremely appreciative of it. If I won the lottery, I'd try to help y'all out the best I can.
Somebody else said that.
I want to acknowledge everybody that's in this room that had their hands in what we have been through, because it's not been easy. It's not going to be easy for us, and I know it's not going to be easy for the citizens, but especially our employees, our department heads that sacrifice their time and effort to go through this budget and look at it and cut till they couldn't cut no more. Because that took a lot. Because nobody wants cuts. Nobody wants to cut from their budget. You want to spend. But y'all cut some things out that you know you needed, that you knew you wanted, and you knew was going to hurt you. But you did it anyway. And we just owe you thanks for that, because that's going to help us out so much. You don't really know how much it's going to help us, but we thank you. And that's for everybody in the room. Everybody in this room had their hands involved in it. Mr. Hudson, especially to him, because when he came here, he didn't know what he was going to find. but he found, it wasn't all bad.
No.
He found some things that he could fix. That's the good part about it. Whatever was wrong, he could fix it. With our help, we helped him fix it. Now, I'm not gonna leave us out, but we playing a big part in this thing. So we don't get too much credit for it, but we playing a big part in it because we're looking out for everybody. See, if I was in charge of the department, I'd be looking out for my department. We got to look out for everybody, and that's hard. That's really hard, especially when you want to do fair by everybody. It's hard. And I think that we're going to do that. We haven't finished yet, but I think we're going to do what the public wants and what's going to be best for this county. And I just appreciate everybody.
I forgot a while ago, I forgot to turn back there and ask if there's anybody else that wanted to say anything to me.
I'd like to. we talk about training and travel and how important it is to our folks. If you don't go anywhere and you don't see it done differently, you don't know where you can improve.
That's right.
You don't know what other opportunities afford to you. So I think the benefit that Mr. Hudson has allowed, and kudos to him because he's earned every penny we're paying him. And he's gotten it out of us. So it's not just him working, he's made sure the rest of us are working too. But the benefit is he's brought in a new approach, new ideas, and it's opened eyes, and even the conversation at this table is very much different. So we didn't send people off to travel. We brought the master teacher in to say, okay, I see where you are. We're not looking back, we're looking forward, and how do we build upon that? And here's a new way to approach it. And I think that mindset for you guys, but especially for our department heads, has given us hope that, you know, we can go about our work in a different way. So kudos to Mr. Hudson and what you brought to the county and your new perspective, because we're going to benefit for the long run. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to be public in saying that.
That's good.
Thank you all. I want to say, I feel like actually it's a total team effort. I know what I knew, but I didn't know Sampson County. But your department heads know their departments and they know Sampson County. And they all contributed to this. And especially the people in this room did a lot to help me. Everyone here. I ask many questions of Nancy, Melissa all the time. I've asked legal questions of Paul. Stephanie is keeping me straight every day. And you know, and Jean too. We have our meetings on Wednesday mornings, and it's been very helpful. I did actually, what I had on my heart was I want to apologize to the commissioners, because over the last couple of days, I've said what comes to my mind about. So when you said something, I might have said something just matter-of-factly and bluntly, but in a budget deliberation like this, I probably could have chosen better words sometimes. I apologize if I came across too blunt, but I also know that in the past, when I've gone through these things, sometimes I felt the need I need to say this now and let you all know something, but I in no way meant to be offensive to anyone. It was just more or less just straight. In my mind, I was shooting straight. But sometimes I know when you shoot straight, that might be considered being blunt. So I apologize for any of that, but I do appreciate it. You all have the hardest job, and I appreciate how you are interacting with each other. All of you have constituents, and all of your constituents are of equal value. And you're hearing different things from your different constituent groups.
There you go.
So what you're hearing in different geographical areas of the county are all different. Back home, for most of my career, all my commissioners were at large. That actually made a different flavor, because everybody was hearing everything from everybody. But in districts, you are representing the people in your district, and that's very important. And that ensures that all voices are heard equally. So thank you for representing your districts well. And also, Chairman McGlam, I think you are doing a very good job trying to talk to everybody and bring balance to the board.
Thank you.
And making sure that all voices are heard. This is, I think, different than what happens in some other places. All of you are having direct input on what's going on, and you're sitting here long enough and seeing it on the screen and hearing from your staff that you've directly heard from everybody about what's going on. So nothing's being done in private, in secret, in a back room, in a cloakroom, and you're to be commended for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Well, again,
Hudson, I'd like to just piggyback off of that and offer apologies for anything that I've done that has been blunt.
Really?
I don't believe he said that.
maybe come on a little too strong in some areas of trying to be a budget hawk, and I know that can be a little ruffle feathers for some people, and
It's all
that's not my intention necessarily to ruffle feathers, but when
It's
you're
all good, brother.
when you're constantly being bombarded with don't raise my taxes, and then on top of being told don't cut my funding to the history museum, it's kind of becomes a case of feeling like a cat backed into a corner, and you come out of it one way or the other, and sometimes you might say things that you didn't actually, you meant it another way, but it comes across being blunt or harsh. So I apologize for.
No, I think that it's like you said, we got a good balance. And we've got everyone doing what they know and what they feel like needs to be done. And we've taken it, your direction, yours, everybody's direction here, and we put it together. And that's what we do. I mean, I've been very pleased with the direction we've gone in. Not everyone agrees with the same thing. And that's okay. We're not supposed to. You're getting beat up from some different people, me and Eric and Commissioner Gall and Commissioner Lee. Everybody's got a different group that's wanting different things. And I think we found a very good balance as a team. I mean, I look at us as a team. I think that this county has come together as a super team, along with the commissioners, with direction from Mr. Hudson, and I think we've taken the job on very well. And I haven't said this, but I'm going to say it publicly. Thank you for taking on the position you've taken on, because you got it thrown at you.
I appreciate your grace and your understanding with a lot of the stuff that's been going on. This has definitely been a trial by fire. What'd you say, Rick?
Baptismal.
Yeah. But again, I appreciate y'all, your support.
I want to thank Mr. Hudson too for coming, opening up some eyes and ears and doors that we didn't see before. And for each commissioner who have came together that working strongly together. New at this, but also able to come to some cohesiveness, and that word kudos I like. We give that to you because some of the things we probably wouldn't have done, but you brought newness and freshness to a direction that we're going in, and we're looking forward to calling you once in a while just to check in. But truly we thank you. I know you probably lost some sleep some nights. Your fingers probably got tired at some time. And your mind got weird, but you stayed the course. And I want to say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
What's on you, boss?
Oh, thank you.
Well, with the discussion on the COLA, I would also like to add, Miss Nancy made her case yesterday. Just not necessarily a case, but bringing to our attention the concerns weighing the scales. And she did so in a very professional manner, knowing that it's our job to make the decision ultimately. And it is a tough decision. I think the concern on the COLA would be raising taxes at the same time giving raises. But also it's important for the people to know that we can't ultimately balance the budget on the backs of our employees, because our county employees are servants of the needs of the public and are not the slaves of the public. And we need to keep that in mind. So I don't know exactly what to do about the COLA. I mean, I gave my own employees 3% this year. But the county is in a bad position, so I do want to acknowledge the employees and let them know that we do appreciate them. And I just hope that we don't lose any if we don't give a COLA. I don't see that we can, but I mean, we could continue to think about it and discuss it. But they have gotten one this year. And if they could wait till next year, that's just 18 months.
I like the way you say that. Just 18 months.
Just 18 months. But we do appreciate our public servants.
Yeah, we do.
And we want them to know that.
They do an awesome job.
just to piggyback that real quick, because I like where you went to, I made a trip. I made a ride through. I keep hearing about our county next door. And I got a little love pat when I went over there here back, so I made it be another little trip through. Ray, I want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
They're showing a lot more increases than what we are. If you ride through Alcalde County, Duplin County, they got a lot of economic growth going on. That's where their gains are coming at. It's not coming off the farmers' backs or the general population. They're growing by leaps and bounds, just we'll be honest. So that's a challenge to you as we move forward, and I understand that you're limited, and I appreciate that. But also, I don't want to say, just like you said, I do appreciate what our employees have done and the direction they've taken. It has been unbelievable what all our department heads and their employees have done. It's just, they need to be applauded from us, please. Thank them. So thank you.
Mr. McLean, Chairman McLean. I just want to say, I mean, I get it all the time because I live down that end where Duplin County is, and they're all time in my face. Look at what they're getting new stores, lots of them, and they just want to know, what are y'all doing? I said, you'll see, it'll come to fruition.
It is.
But that economic development is a big thing in Duplin County. They're really rising up.
You're investing a lot of money.
You're right.
Yeah.
They've turned a lot of money, invested a lot of money in their development.
That's a lot. Especially the high-end stores they putting in. Very
Our
high.
neighbors.
All right. Y'all ready to take a break?
I am.
Well, she was quick. You ready to take a break?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're gonna recess till 1.
Yes, sir, and they'll be here at 1, so
Okay.
if you come back a few minutes before 1, before the meeting starts.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Y'all breathe.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna bring it back around, come out of recess. And at this time, and I do like the way this is set up, we have all our educational departments are present. And whoever would like to go first, or however how you guys want to do this, it is on y'all. The floor is yours, and we are at your disposal.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 trustees with us today. Ms. Lorinda Haight, who's our vice chair, and trustee Mike Warren. Ms. Kelly Jackson, our vice president for finance, is with us. And as I told Mr. Hudson, if you would direct questions to her, it would be a lot easier on me. Our 2 superintendent colleagues are with us. We met earlier this week and understood that we had common interests and common goals and would like to be at the table together. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of background and a little bit of overview of our budget as we understand it. There will be some questions that we will have, and I think the answers to our questions will be pertinent to probably some of the understandings that they would want to have. First of all, probably one of the finest budget documents I've ever read, as well prepared and as informative, not only to someone in our position, but I think to the general public. And I would encourage the taxpayers of the county to take the time to read that document and be informed. As you know, we had requested more money than the recommendation is for our budget. We are certainly aware of the budget climate and the challenges that you are working with, and we certainly, and I'm speaking for the trustees as well as the administration, want to be a team player in the resolution of these problems, and we understand that they're going to take a little bit of time to work out all. If you go through our budget in detail, and I understand we're not going to do that, you will note that with the exception of a presidential supplement, which we can talk about is fairly nominal in comparison to the supplements across the state, all the money that the county gives us are for plant operations and for the maintenance and upkeep of the physical campus. So there's There are no supplements for faculty, there are no supplements for staff. It is simply, that is the cost of the upkeep and the operation of the physical plant. Some of the requests that we had to you, for the cost increases or whatever, I think Kelly can validate. We already know that we were pretty much on target. They have increased in the amounts that we had unfortunately anticipated. So we're going to begin the year with some challenges in order to operate within the current expense budget that we have. I understood, if I read, Mr. Hudson, the document well, that we would anticipate that this may in fact be the climate for the following year. It suggested it could take a couple of years for us to grow out of some of the challenges that we're seeing. One of the recommendations that was really, really important and we focused upon was the recommendation to include a half cent for our capital outlay. Our capital outlay history from the county has been sometimes $250, sometimes nothing for the following year or something in between. So we had no basis upon which to understand, what our funding sources would be and what our revenue amount would be. And so this moves us into at least, I don't want to use the word certainty, but let's use that something close to that, that we have sustaining capital outlay at 350 or as the tax base would grow, a larger amount. There's also a note, I think in the last paragraph or whatever, that if the trustees ran into significant issues with adequacy of current expense, that we could come back before the Board of Commissioners and say, we need to move some of the capital outlay into current expense. So that gives us, if you will, a modest safety net that we can work with for a couple of years. Some questions about capital outlay, and I think these are ones that our other colleagues would have. I'm assuming, as in the past, that is accruable. In other words, if we don't spend a full amount of that this year, the balance of that would roll to the next year, so that if we had larger projects, we could accrue it until we get to that amount and we could spend it.
That is my recommendation to the board, that it continue to be accruable.
Secondly, we would assume that perhaps there's not prior approval required on that, or we need to have an understanding when we're spending out of the capital outlay account, to what extent do we need to submit for approval an expense object before we incur that. I don't know, our current practice has been
Construction projects, we will ask for prior approval, but everything else we just send in after. Is that how we will?
That's how it's been done in the past, just for actual larger projects, not if they have to go out and buy a lawnmower or a car or something.
And this is something, honestly, Commissioners, I hadn't contemplated a lot, but it's been my practice in the past to give the college as another governmental agency latitude in their spending.
I agree.
As long as they're not going above the amount budgeted by the county. I believe less reporting is better. We've certainly seen that with the boards of education that were previously submitting reports to Sampson County that were not actually used by Sampson County, but rather it was just a paper chase, and the reason the paper chase occurred was because it had always been done. So we discontinued that practice earlier this year. But I would recommend the greatest flexibility possible for the college, assuming that they did not exceed the budget amount that you've appropriated in a given year. And for the schools as well.
I'm good with that.
But y'all got to work your own deal out. We just-
I see how long this team stays together.
Like, I heard no man left. Pretty sure I have a text that says that.
Now, just in general, and just looking forward, if you've ridden by the campus, we're in a building program. We're adding about 17,000 square feet this year. One is a multi-purpose room, and finally, we hope to complete the annex connection in the middle. That obviously is going to raise our operational costs, it's going to raise our insurance. So we're going to have to absorb that within this 2-year window as best we can. After Christmas, sometime in the spring, we anticipate bidding a nursing allied health building that has been funded over 2 years by the General Assembly, and we have other money that we're actually moving into that. That building would come online probably 3 fiscal years from now, and will represent a significant increase in need for operational expenses. So the window we're working in, I don't want to overcommit. We're going to do everything we can to work within these budget understandings. I do believe it's necessary that you be aware that we do have a significant new building coming online, probably 3 fiscal years out. That would put our campus in around the 230,000 square feet range, which is certainly not a very large community college campus by any means. But it would allow us to meet a growing demand for nursing and allied health programs. We graduated, what was it, Lorinda, 55, 56 nurses this year.
A large one, yeah.
It's a significant program. It provides a lot of nurses in the southeastern region of North Carolina, and for many of our young people represents a wonderful opportunity for them to move into a career that provides life-sustaining wages. Trying to think, were there other things we need to go over? Which one? The use of the capital reserve fund. We have made a request, and it's my understanding I think that has been honored for one chiller that has gone out of a building. It is my understanding in reading the budget that we would still have access to capital reserve requests outside of and beyond the capital outlay if they were to occur. Now, we do understand that we have to come before the commissioners and make a request to you. So we're understanding there's current expense, capital outlay, and in the event of special circumstances, capital reserve funds.
That is the intent of my budget.
I think that's what we've all talked about too. I think you're fine.
And I can't tell you how important that is based upon our other understandings. So,
let me ask you this, is that something as we move forward that you'd rather have in a contractual type agreement between you and the county board, or?
I mean, if there's a memorandum of understanding or whatever, that would be helpful. We know that we're going to work at a goodwill basis, and writing on paper it simply provides clarity of the understanding, but whatever is extended. I mean, I think they got everything in writing, and I would want it in writing with those two down there.
I think keeping it in writing helps, because boards come and go, board members come and go, and it puts in stone the historical memory of what's being addressed today.
Right.
We want to do that.
I agree. Agree.
If I could suggest, commissioners, if Dr. Starling could provide a paragraph to that effect, we could insert that in the commissioner's budget ordinance, which would memorialize it in writing. And then normally budget ordinances would be repeated year by year. So I think that would probably be the quickest way. If in fact, and just for the benefit of those that are present that were not here this morning, the board has looked at 3 upcoming meetings. Of course, the first has been advertised, and that is Monday night at 6 p.m. is the public hearing. Wednesday, June 18th, the meeting on Monday evening, the 16th, will be recessed to 1 p.m. on Wednesday, June 18th, at which time the board will have discussion and direction. And then Friday, June 20th at 10 a.m. In this room, it's anticipated that the board may consider a vote on the budget. So the budget ordinance will have its final form between Wednesday afternoon and Friday morning. So anything that's to be inserted in the budget ordinance would have to come over ideally on Monday.
Yep.
Or Tuesday.
We'll do that. Okay. To our trustees, comments?
We just want to say thank you for putting the money in the budget. We know we can always use more, But I will tell you, the college is growing. We appreciate every cent that you give us, and the community does too. The buildings that we're building are already over full. We built the welding building a few years ago. We're already talking about building onto that. And we are training community members to come back into this community and work. So thank you. That's what I would like to say.
I can only repeat that. It's a wonderful institution, small as it is, but the impact that it's making on our citizens, the health areas are booming, and the trades areas, which is where the rubber meets the road in our county. We're just continuing with the transportation annex that we have, and the other programs, welding and electrical engineering and the other allied engineering programs. We just appreciate what the commissioner, we know it's tough. I've sat in their seats, and I've sat near these seats, and it's and I don't want to sit in your seats.
No offense.
I have said for many years, you have the toughest job in politics, and that's from the president down to the dog catcher, because you have to make these tough decisions for our county and its future, and then you have to go to church with and shop with the citizens who have to pay for what we deserve in our county. So again, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And again, my personal thanks. Dr. King, Dr. Johnson, beat that.
I can't beat that. Thank you all for having us here today. We'd love to just recognize our staff that's here. Ms. Jennifer Daltrey, our Executive Director of High Schools, Ms. Cindy Meesemer, Chief Finance Officer, Jackie Chabot, Executive Assistant to the Board. Then we have 3 board members, Glenn Faison, Eleanor Bradshaw, and I'm about to call you Burley. Darrell Warren, our chair. So thank all of them for being here. Just want to share, thank you for where we're currently at. We truly appreciate it. I'll say that even just in the 25% that we signed memo, our board has already taken some action with just that. We've increased our classified staff supplement. So just knowing that that was coming, we went ahead and put that directly back to our staff, right, which then adds to our tax basis in the county. To talk a little bit about the proposed tax increases. You know, most of our buildings in Sampson County, we have 18 schools, 17 school buildings, 2 central office buildings. Most of those are over 50 years old and are going to start needing quite a bit of work. And so part of that capital fund contribution is knowing that we're going to need that for the schools that we currently have. We also all know that we're building a brand new high school, right, of which we've asked county commissioners for $4.2 million, right, of the $80 million, and we're still $4 million short, right? And so we still know that we're going to need additional assistance. We're still trying to work on grants, outside entities, but we know that there's still a gap that's there. And so I just would implore county commissioners, I know you have a lot of people asking with their hands out, but knowing that where we're looking at, I know the city school is also looking at building a new school as well, right? That we're going to need those funds to help us to make sure that we build complete schools and not give the county an incomplete school. I think when I addressed you all the first time, I think you said it to me, Mr. McLean, don't give me an incomplete school, right? Give me a full building. And that is what we are trying our best to do. But again, we're going to need some help at some point with some of that. And so that's definitely where that capital fund would go to, knowing that we have that there, knowing that we have 2 buildings that currently have leaky roofs with skylights, right? We're going to have to fix those. That those capital needs are needed. They're not for paint. They're not for making the school look pretty. They're for fixing the school so that kids are in a safe, nurturing building that they can be in all day long. So just thank you for being here. We'll be glad to kind of answer questions, but I know that was the big conversation was about those 2 taxes. I'll turn it over.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. King. Good to see everyone here today. Always a pleasure to be before our county commissioners and want to make very difficult decisions, as has been alluded to so far. I will recognize our staff that we have with us. We'll start at this end. We have one of our board members, Ms. Carol Worley. She is a long-time serving board member. How many years now, Ms. Carol?
15.
15 years. Dr. Linda Brunson, who's been a part of Clinton City Schools for many years. We won't even utilize the number. She is our chair and has been the chair ever since I've been the superintendent, which just finished my 7th year. Mr. John Lowe. John Lowe currently serves as our Executive Director of Facilities and Technology. John has been a teacher, has done all kinds of things for Clinton City Schools. John, 31, 32 years? 30 years. 30 years. Miss Emily Devane, she's over our finances. She's worked in those roles for many years. We're very glad to have her, and she is NC-ASBO certified and everything. So very, very glad to have her. I echo many of the comments that Dr. King said, and also Dr. Starling. I do want to also share as the superintendent about the benefits of the community college to the K-12 space, pre-K-12 space. Community college not only assists our students who have graduated high school, but they also assist our students that are in school. My daughter, who just graduated year before last, she went to Presbyterian College and had basically a whole year up under her belt that now she can utilize. So there's just a lot of benefits through those what they call CCP courses that our students receive. So when you assist a community college, I feel like I'm patting them on the back here, but when you assist a community college, you assist both school districts as well. So I just wanted to make sure that was said. I echo most of the comments that Dr. King stated. Of course, the age of our buildings continues to be a major, major concern. The reference that he made about our schools and combining, I don't know that I even really noticed that until my own child went through the situation. So my little girl, she started at LCK. My two other children came to Clinton City School in middle school. But it's a lot of transitions. To start in kindergarten and then to have to change to a new school in first grade is very difficult. Our teachers don't get to develop the rapport with those students that you would see if my wife was a teacher at Plainview Elementary and at Salemburg. They get to keep those kids for 6 years. So there's a lot of, I was actually talking to a teacher about this recently, and she's from Hopton, graduated from Hopton, and she's like, we see the kids, we learn them for 1 year, and then they leave us, and we don't see them again into the grad walk. So what we're looking at doing is bringing those two schools together, Butler Avenue and LCK, and we'll have those kids for 4 years, pre-K, 3 years, pre-K through second, pre-K, kindergarten, first and second, so it is 4 years. And we're very, very excited about that project. And then we would be replacing buildings. The original buildings of both LCK and Butler Avenue are over 70 years old. And so we don't have a school that's under 50 years old except for the high school. So lots of needs. John could go in and tell you about all the capital needs. Of course, we had a roof audit done, I believe it was in 18 or 19. That there were $10 million at that time roof needs, and we know that those numbers have only continued to escalate with inflation and other things that we're dealing with. But let me just say, as Dr. King noted, I've been in this room before doing presentations and shaking in my shoes because we didn't know what we were going to receive. What we were all a part of recently in signing that document, which ensures us of what we're going to have for the next 5 to 6 years, is of paramount history in our county. And now that I've been a part of this county in the education sector for just finished 27 years, all in Sampson County and Clinton City Schools, it's a benefit that I don't think that I could have ever forecasted. So I do want to make sure that you understand how grateful we all are for that document that was signed. And again, lots of needs. We are, I think, anticipating some assistance from you all for a roof at Sampson Middle School. Very, very much needed. Mr. Love has been on that roof, I can't tell you how many times. As Dr. King alluded to, skylights are the main concern. I don't know, Mr. Warren could probably tell us why we put skylights in all these buildings years and years ago, but I'm not sure that I'll ever build a school with a skylight because they're just major, major needs. John actually, he had actually sent me an infrared diagram of Sampson Middle the other day. We had a drone that flew over, and you could see like the moisture spots, and they were all around those either existing skylights or skylights that we had taken out previously. John has also showed me a lot of documents from previous histories that there's just been needs. You know, when you build flat roofs on these buildings, they just don't last. But again, I'll use my time to say thank you. Just know that there's lots of needs. As Jamie alluded to, I believe that 1 cent increase that we noted that was going to be put back into the capital funds for, you know, the long range capital funds would be very, very beneficial. If there's any way for that to stay, I would request that wholeheartedly. We definitely need that money for our aging buildings. But thank you for your time today.
Y'all. Anything from the board?
Well, we appreciate our education system. And when I came on board as a appointed commissioner to fill out a term that's unexpired, and I understood that there was tension between the school boards and the education and the board of commissioners, it gave me pause for concern. And I feel like we should all be on the same team because we're all a community. And Mr. Hudson has given us great leadership,
Amen.
moving us in this direction, and so has Mr. McLean.
I'll just share with the board that it is a partnership. When Dr. Johnson came on board, it actually started early for Clinton City Schools because we had a hurricane and he got to come in the midst of that. And, within a month or so, he contacted me. I was just director of technology. And he said, we need to have a meeting. We met in his office and he said, I need you to oversee facilities and maintenance and buses. I said, I'll go work at Walmart before I do buses. So I ended up a public information officer. So I had all of those when we had to close schools. So it was a challenging time. But since he put me to look after those things, I've worked diligently in that time frame. We've had an energy savings project that is no easy effort to accomplish through the statutes that exist in North Carolina for a school to undertake that project, that replace all the lights with LEDs, and then some of the savings from that allowed us to replace a 29-year-old chiller at the middle school and some 20-year-old water source heat pumps at another school. The first year that the state allowed needs-based public school capital fund to go towards repair and renovation, I've applied diligently every year. We got some funding, we're able to shore up a lot of roofing issues at Elsie Carr Elementary. I apply for school safety grants. Probably over the course of the last 7 years, if I tallied it all up, it's probably 1.2 million I brought into the district through different grant programs, just trying to meet the needs so our staff and students have a safe place to work and learn. So it is a partnership, and like Dr. Starling alluded to, and Dr. King, we're pursuing other grant opportunities and all the ways that we can assist. And again, we are very thankful for the funding efforts you provide us, because it's not an easy task in today's economy, so we appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, before we go any further as a board, does any of our guests have anything that you'd like to add? I'm sorry, I kind of jumped to my board real quick, and I have a tendency to do that. So does any of our other guests have anything you need to add? Because we are glad you are here, and I see the great support that you guys have behind you, and that's a big deal. You want got anything?
I will just, echo what everybody said here, not to repeat, but, we appreciate all the efforts that, all 4 entities here have come together and built this partnership, and we appreciate you guys working with us as you have. So on behalf of the Sampson County School Board of Education, thank you.
Yes. Thank y'all. Anyone else?
So I'll just say, as Dr. Johnson said, I'm the longest serving term the board member on it. I'm not the oldest. I'm not the oldest, just the longest serving. But when he came and when it was shared with us about this partnership, I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, this is the answer. We have come down here year after year doing a presentation formality, because we all knew there were limitations, and you knew what you were going to get. We knew what we were asking for was a stretch, but we had to do it because it was requested of us. And now this saves time, And it allows us to plan because we know what's happening. I am so grateful for it, and I know our whole board is, and we're just thankful that for the minds and the hearts to all come together because we're all trying to serve the same purpose. And this just allows us to be able to do it without having to wonder. We are now able to plan. So thank you all so much.
Since you brought it up, I am the oldest one. And I too want to say thank you all for what you've already done for the children. If you look around the room, all of us are in here for the same reason. We're all responsible. I'll say all of us are all responsible for all the children all the time, whether they're in pre-K or community college. We want them to stay in our communities and make our communities and our schools better. So thank you for what you've already done. Echoing what others have said, that the guarantee when we signed the other night about, we know what we're gonna get. Thank you for having us at the table. Sometimes we felt like maybe we weren't welcome at the table, so thank you for that. We're all here together. John talked about partnerships, and again, we just can't be more thankful about what you've already done for us and keeping us informed about what the decisions are going to be, and inviting us to meetings. It means a lot just to know that we're included. So thank you, and I look forward to a few more years working together in this partnership.
I'd like to add that I put my public school hat back on. Having served on the county board back in the 70s and 80s, remembering coming and begging for a piece of the pie that we could get by that year, and we always did. And then when I got back into education as an administrator in Asheboro, and we would beg the Randolph County Board of Commissioners for money. And then I went to Currituck County as superintendent. And I waited for the county manager to call me to go in my night to beg. And finally, it was getting time. They were fixing to announce the budget, and I called him and I said, "When do we go?" He said, "You don't go. We have an agreement." And I was brand new, and an agreement similar to what you have worked out, which in turn helps us at the community college. And it blew my mind, and I'm so proud of Sampson County that we've reached that stage where we work together as a team rather than fighting year after year and begging year after year.
Amen. Good job.
Anyone else? Eric? I'm not gonna miss you. Don't worry, you get your time. You gotta watch him, y'all. I'm telling you, I don't understand. Go ahead.
I think we all have the same interest, and as all of y'all know, I transitioned from law enforcement into education. I went from the frying pan to the fire. But I have a new appreciation, to say the least. But the thing that we're going to need help on is consolidation of efforts. We're using efforts to try to lobby in Raleigh to get more directed assistance for Sampson County. I think the three boards, we all need to work together with us to make sure that we can put the appropriate pressure where we need to get that directed funding back here. The needs far outweigh the means to address them here locally.
Amen.
So we're going to have to do that, and we're going to have to stand strong together and band strong. I'm just glad we're all able to be on the same sheet of music in some ways now. And I appreciate every opportunity, y'all. I appreciate the opportunity you've given us as a board to address the issues that you've experienced in the past to try to find a way forward. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hold on a minute. Do you want to go next?
No, sir.
Okay.
Commissioners go first.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that I appreciate all of you. As you know, my background comes from county government. I've worked in the county for over 35 years. I know some of the needs that are in the county. I know your needs. I'm aware of your needs, and that's important to have somebody that's sitting here that know where you are and know what you're going through. It's very important. You may not think it is, but it is. By me knowing a lot about what you're going through, that makes my comments and my leadership and knowledge a little bit better for me. I hope it means something to you. but I'm here to help everybody. We in this partnership, we in it together. And there's nothing like being in a good partnership with somebody. I just appreciate you. My daughter retired from Sampson County Schools. My 2 granddaughters graduated from Clinton City Schools, and one of them is now a doctor of pharmacy. And the other one is going to North Carolina State for agriculture, fixing hogs, y'all. Can you believe that? But anyway, I'm just so grateful that for the experience that they got and for the experience I got, that I can help you, can understand your needs. I just hope that you are patient with us because you know where we are. You know where we are. And we're asking for your patience in any kind of decision that we have to make. It's not anything personal because we know how much education means to this county. I do. We need education. And I hope that this partnership lasts as long as I sit here and even longer if it can. Just thank you to all of you for being here today and letting us hear and see what you're talking about. We know it's important to everybody because this room wouldn't be full like it is if it wasn't. It's important to you. And what's important to you all is important to us.
And truly we do thank you. Education is what we need here in Sampson County, and bringing it together and being able to see the future and plan it out is what has put this picture together. I know he's going to speak, but I give him thanks for being able to come here and set up the picture that we could see. But not only that, to be able to work together. There's high school students at the college who goes and come back. And we're looking to build our future with the engineer part, the building part. And each one of these have put in something that we would never know what our future would be like, but feel a whole lot better at our future of training our students and the working part together. I just, I'm so grateful. Grateful too because I love Sampson County and I love to see when we can work together and to have stability of making the future a whole lot brighter. Thank you.
I'm gonna speak before you do. But no, I appreciate everything you guys do. Lorinda knows my heart. And anytime that I can help a kid to move forward is a big deal with me. I take it very personal. I'm driven by it. She knows I work with the kids at church. I work with the kids at the high school. I just like being around kids. That's just the way I am. So this moment and where we're going at is a big deal to Alan. Not commissioner or chairman of the board, whatever I am, it's Alan. And it means a lot to me that we are moved forward and this partnership is in place. As long as I'm here, that's part of what I ran on, was to make sure that the kids in this county continue to grow in the right direction, and I'm committed to that. And that's the direction I'm going in. But again, I thank y'all. I appreciate everything you do. And I do know that when you're with the child, whether it's in the college or the elementary, from the small grades up, there's a challenge there. And you take that challenge very seriously, and I do too. And I hope you understand that this board also takes that challenge. And I hope we continue to move forward together. That's kind of been our thing. We want to move this county forward, and moving our school system forward is a big deal. That includes the colleges and the elementaries right on up to the high school, at any aspect it is. Now is your turn.
To the chairs in the room, Dr. Starling, superintendents, thank you all for being here. Board members, everyone. This is probably the only opportunity I'm going to have to say a couple of things to all of you gathered together in a workshop setting. So I wanted to just leave a couple of thoughts with everyone, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
You're good.
First of all, we titled this afternoon Education, but I think it would be appropriate to say that we're not looking at just education. We're looking at three of the largest employers of persons in all of Sampson County. The workforces of these three organizations are tremendous. The payroll that they bring into the county is tremendous. And besides that, we've talked a lot about developing our tax base. We've talked about bringing industry in. This is also, you're looking at our 3 best economic development partners in Sampson County, along with Sampson County government. That all of this is tied together. Educating students is essential, it's the mission, but ancillary and tied directly to that is economic development and quality of life in the community. So this is essential. I believe that now would be a great time to pledge to one another, if you felt that you could, joint support for a sales tax, a half-cent sales tax in this community that other places have and use for transportation. A half-cent sales tax would yield $3.8 million of additional revenue to this community. If we're all in it together, when it comes time for public information, I don't know if we're getting anyone on the back row. When it comes time for public information, citizen education, you're all in it together. Legally, you cannot use any public money to influence the vote of any citizen. You cannot tell people how to vote. But you can absolutely use all of your resources to inform the public of the issues and ask them to make an informed vote, an informed choice, because any sales tax will only be done, I believe, through referendum. That's how it's been going. Years ago, I led our county's efforts in Onslow to pass a local option Article 46 sales tax, a quarter-cent sales tax. It had failed twice before. It passed the 3rd time by a 60-40 vote. And we did that by targeting what it would be used for, and also by ensuring that we had community partners who were all singing the same song. And by singing the same song, it doesn't mean that you just get together once in a while. It's regular meetings. This becomes a project of the community and of all of the organizations. And you meet regularly, and you have tiger teams, and you attack how you could get what many people would consider to be a much fairer tax. That also, by the way, hits all those people like me that eats a cheeseburger out here and goes by Lowe's because I can't be too far from a Lowe's Home Improvement. So all that. I would also say that I think you have the ability in the future to think about, just to explore perhaps some joint partnerships. And I brought this up before with the superintendents and Dr. Starling. I would include the community college in this as well. It's hard to find some types of employees. It's very hard to find public health nurses. It's hard to find detention officers. It's hard to find IT professionals. And if you are able to partner, whether it's in a regional IT group like Harnett County, one county over, Harnett County has done this successfully, to pool resources and attract those highly qualified, recruit and retain those highly qualified employees that could help everyone out. A computer doesn't know if it's sitting on the desk of Sampson Community College or the health department, but a computer's got to operate. So I think that it's possible that you could save money collectively by exploring some regionalization issues like IT, and also, and this has been brought up by the Board of Commissioners, garage services. This might be something other places have, government garages. You have school bus garages or garage. Doing something in the future, just explore it. It has to be a good business case. I'm not saying that you do anything that doesn't make sense, but to spend a little effort running the numbers. Just run the numbers. So that's something important. I would like to make a note. Interestingly enough, I read recently the Onslow County Manager's budget message, because I'm weird that way. And I noticed in his budget message that Onslow now is moving to the next step. They are seeking to develop a funding formula between Coastal Carolina Community College and Onslow County government. It is possible to take what you've started here with our 2 K-12 school systems and take it to the next step and explore the right amount of funding where even the community college knows what to expect year by year by year, and you're looking forward into the future. So if that is successful in one place, it might be successful in another. I haven't done that in my career, but I noted with interest that they are trying to do that over there. Lastly, I would just mention about the funding formula. Everything that all of you said is 100% accurate. I would like to note to the two superintendents and members of your boards of education, the funding formula is based on, so that we can track this numerically, is based on the past year. And so as you go into your next fiscal year's budget and developing that, the funding formula will look toward what was done in 2025. So therefore, if there has to be, and no decision's been made, you understand, but if there has to be any tax increase, then that tax increase would flow into the funding formula. And if you could pass those two sheets down for the two superintendents. We've run numbers, and I've shared this with the Board of Education in a public meeting, so this is nothing new to the board. We've run the numbers as to if the board were to look at the need for a tax increase, what that would mean in terms of an appropriation in the following year for your budgets. Just hypothetically, this is draft, but I'm going to share the data with you because number one, it's a public record. Number two, it's already been shared publicly with the budget. It's been on the screen in front of the camera. So somewhere on YouTube in a day or so, everybody's going to see it on the camera. But Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think it's incredibly amazing what all of you can do together. You're the biggest organizations, government organizations in this county. And if you continue to operate together, there's absolutely nothing you can't do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anything else to add? Y'all good?
I would just like to give them opportunity to ask or to answer what are your challenges and opportunities going forward. I know the buildings is a big concern, but share with us what you see going forward once you feel more comfortable with your buildings. Every year there's always going to be building issues, but the students, what do the students need?
So the challenge I see is the federal funding, right? So we know that next year we're already facing a $670,000 decrease in federal funds that are going to our most needed students, our students that are ESL, right, and our migrant students. There's no funding for them. And so we're having to rob Peter to pay Paul, right? We're having to figure out where do we cut in our whole budget to provide services for those students that no longer have any services from the federal government. We know that the next school year in 26-27, we're looking at a $3.5 million decrease, right? You can't solve a $3.5 million increase. You're gonna have to cut things. And so my worries are, what do we cut, right? What programs do kids not have access to in the future in Sampson County that they have access to now? How do we keep the high level of education in all of our schools, but know that we have almost a $4 million cut in over 2 years, right? I mean, you have to cut something. You can't continue with everything you're doing. And so add that on to then the facilities needs that we've talked about, right? So finances are where I worry a lot. That's what keeps me up at night. Because like Mr. McClam, this is personal, right? I did this because I want kids to grow. I believe in Sampson County. I think our kids here are amazing. We have amazing teachers, we have amazing schools, amazing people, right? But we haven't given them the resources that they need to make every single kid amazing. And so I worry what happens when we cut that funding, when we cut those resources for schools, because you can't do more with less. You just can't. So, sorry.
Appreciate it. Any opportunities though?
I think there's awesome opportunities. I mean, I think you look at Sampson County, not to gloat for a minute, but we've received over $80 million in grants just this school year in Sampson County schools. Right, we just received a grant for Union Middle School to increase their math proficiencies, really put some hard PD in with every single teacher in that building. We received a grant to help our high schools, right, with instructional practices to really move the needle for student performance. So I think there's lots of opportunities for growth. The new Hopton High School makes me really excited, right? Building a school for that community that's going to be a shining star, that's going to be a full school.
It will be full.
That's not going to
We're going to make sure it's full. I'm just telling you, you should know this. You've been told.
To make sure that they have everything that they need, that's a shining opportunity that I know we're all excited about. Just seeing the potential of our kids, seeing that in 5 years they're going to do some amazing things. We have a new program going in at Union that's really going to teach kids about technology and high-tech industries. right? And those kids are gonna leave Union being able to make their own drones, build their own drones, fly their own drones, program their own drones, do cybersecurity, right? Jobs that our kids have never even thought about, but that are high-paying jobs that they can still do right here in Sampson County, right? I don't want our kids to leave, I want them to stay here, right? I want them to add to the tax value, right? I see that if we do this right, I say this all the time, if we do this right, everything else works, right? Because it's not just educating kids, it's providing a tax base that wasn't there before, right? We talk about graduation rates, right? There's some studies that talk about every 1% in graduation rate increases your tax value by $250,000, right? I tell Ms. Autry all the time, you better get those graduation rates up, not just because of kids, but because of what it does for our community, right? Because then it also takes those students who typically don't graduate, right? Typically, students who don't graduate, statistics show us, are a burden, right, on the other facilities that the county has to provide. Well, if we can graduate them and make sure that they have a place to go after that, that there's something for them in their future, that's not a burden anymore. That's a tax increase, right? And so I see that if we do all this right with all of us together, it's not just helping kids, but it helps our community. It helps everything. So there's a lot of glows, a lot of grows, a lot of exciting things. So yeah.
With regard to Hopkins High School, I would like to let you know that, you know, our legislative delegation has asked me, you know, what do you see the biggest need for Sampson County if we could secure it? I made it clear that my concern about Hopkins High School not having the sufficient funding to be complete and full. And they can't promise anything, but they have been made aware that that is one of our #1 needs. I want to assure you that that's being looked at.
Thank you.
Dr. Jones?
I too don't sleep.
I'll start with opportunities. You know, when you had the I won't say the honor, the pleasure to be in a place for 27 years, you've watched a lot of kids grow up. You've watched a lot of kids mature. You've watched a lot of kids do great things and come back to the county, back to the city, continue to do great things. So the jobs that we have, all of us, are very difficult. There's some long nights, some difficult decisions, difficult discussions, especially when we have things called closed session. And the one thing that I do every time after a closed session is I go to LCK. And I get to go and I hang out with our little 4-year-olds. And I look in their faces and know that we're doing difficult work so that they can have a bright future. And so opportunities like Jamie mentioned, Dr. King in this venue, is for our kids to have a bright future, and which I think we have kind of all worked together to accomplish so far. And I look forward to that. You know, that's just wonderful. I was listening to Dr. King talk about challenges, of course, and you know the federal funding is a challenge and will continue to be a challenge. I'm extremely thankful that Clinton City Schools, for whatever reason, two things that have affected most school systems have not affected us, and that is enrollment numbers. Our enrollment numbers were dwindling a couple of students per year. Over the last 2 years, we've had increased enrollments. One of the very few school districts east of I-95 that have had enrollment increases. I think that is an opportunity. With that comes some challenges because a lot of those demographics are changing. We have a increasing number of Haitian Creole kids. In fact, our elementary principal, who does have a habit of exaggerating some things, stated to me when the group came in for kindergarten registration that he felt 30% of those kids were Haitian. So I reached out to his guidance counselor. I said, I know Principal Dirk said 30%. What do you feel like that percentage was? She said, I think that's too low. She said, I think it was at least 35. And so when we have a group of students that are coming in that no one is there to speak their language, to advocate for them, their parents can't advocate for them, it takes individuals at these tables to be their advocate, to be their voice. And what's amazing is those kids that speak those different languages at home, they come to school and they learn to speak English like that. And it shows the intellect that they possess to come in not speaking English. I've had kids, when I was principal at Hopton, I know Jennifer had that opportunity, we would have kids that would come in 4 or 5 years old translating for their parents in meetings. Listening to us, translating for their parents. That is amazing. And so that's always been, another opportunity with challenge. The second thing I was going to mention that has been a challenge for most districts that we've just, again, I think a lot of it has been blessing, but staffing. I think any superintendent in the state of North Carolina would tell you that staffing is and long-range staffing is a concern. Because how are we going to continue to place well-prepared teachers in front of students if our colleges and universities are not growing teachers? That whole college of education is dwindling. One of the things I know that we've kind of put in place, both school systems, is we partnered with the NC Teaching Fellows to receive grants so that we can bring up our students and have a desire who want to become teachers to bring them up to be teachers. One of those is in my own home. Evan Johnson, my oldest child, she received the Dark Horse Fellow, so she'll be returning to Clinton City Schools to do 4 years as a teacher here, and we're investing into our young people. I think this year, either Mr. Lowe, because his wife has been helping to lead that, or Dr. Brunson can help me with this number, but I think 38, John?
36.
36.
And we had 2 who changed.
Yeah, so we have 36 students that are in our Dark Horse Fellows program. That's probably grown from 4. I think we had 4 maybe the first year. Now 38 young people are interested in not only becoming teachers, but becoming teachers and returning back to Clinton City Schools. So lots of opportunities, coupled with some challenges that, what we've done and what we've done collectively and together has helped us to be on the forefront of making sure that those challenges don't become reality for Clinton City Schools.
And I want to tag on to that from a slightly different lens. One of the other challenges we have, and county managers and city managers know this, is that trades for us, it's hard to keep my HVAC guy. It's hard to keep my electrical guy because we can't offer the salary they can just skip down the road and receive. And the same thing in tech. I was grooming a young man to become my successor, and a local company decided he was an asset, and he's there, and then he decided to come back to education because he had some years in the retirement and the hours, and all of a sudden his pay increased $15,000 a year because he thought about leaving. We can't compete with that. And it's hard to keep those people. My staff in the maintenance department is aging. And the younger ones, it's hard to keep them because while they're young and their bodies are still able, and they're not thinking about retirement and benefits, they're going to go chase the money.
That's right.
And it's hard. And you know that. You know that if you're a business owner, and county managers, I know they know it because they have those employees in the offices. And just don't forget that the non-teaching staff, we're having incredible challenges sometimes recruiting and retaining those types of people.
That's a good point. Thank you for sharing that.
To add what Dr. Johnson said about our recruiting the staff, the Dark Horse Fellows program that we have in place. Next year, our first recipient of the forgivable loan, she's been 4 years at Fayetteville State. She'll be back in Clinton in the fall of next year to begin her career right here in Clinton. So it's working. It's a slow process. Right. You groom them in high school for 2 years and then they go off to college. But after 6 years, we get them back. So and homegrown, so we expect to keep them when they get back.
And just an anecdote to that, Dr. Johnson mentioned Haitian Creole. This young lady
Is Haitian Creole.
she came to us in 7th grade and spoke
Nothing.
5 words of English.
Yeah.
Now she's going to be a teacher, coming back to the community.
That's
Ultimately, once she gets through her teaching, she's talking about maybe starting her own daycare and facility for younger students. So, you know, maybe we keep them in the community and they stay in Sampson County. And that becomes important because I think county manager, city manager knows we're facing that challenge too, that we're sometimes bringing in staff that don't reside in our county, and that doesn't help our tax base as well as we would like it to.
That's right.
If we can keep them, even better.
Dr. Starling?
Just surprisingly, we're an institution that's we're growing, and we have been growing now consistently for 5 or 6 years. This summer was the most significant increase we've seen. You're always worried if you're in our role about what the next semester is going to bring, but it appears that we are in a period of sustained growth. A lot of our enrollment increase, in fact, the bulk of our enrollment increase are in the programs that John just mentioned. They're in electrical, they're in heating and air conditioning, they're in welding, they're in all the trades programs. So in order to speak to those needs, we actually need more space. We need additional faculty. Unfortunately, we have to compete. We're hiring welders as faculty members. We're hiring electricians as faculty members, just as we do nurses. So we have to get into that labor market and be able to effectively compete. The state appears to be responsive to that, not as responsive as we would like for them to be. But again, it's an opportunity not only for us to serve of this county, but if you look at our enrollment, it's becoming a little bit more regional. We're well into Cumberland County, we're well into some of the, even Duplin County or whatever. A lot of those students are choosing to enroll at Sampson, and we think that's because we have a superior faculty and superior technologies that we teach with. Excited about the possibility, we probably bored you with it in the previous meeting, about the opportunity to develop a public safety campus. We think it's important that we serve our first responders and firefighters and everything that are volunteer people in Sampson County. And we think the development of a training center for them will not only encourage and strengthen the volunteer community, but will go far in helping us economically in this area. So, you know, we're excited about this conversation in which we now know that we have capital outlay of a giving amount, because we haven't known that. We do have a sense of our budget stability or whatever, and we're not having to plan for catastrophic facility issues, so it gives us a platform to move forward. We understand that we are a critical component of economic development, and we embrace that role. So it's my hope that as you continue to fund us and see us grow, you will understand that you're not only making just an investment at Sampson Community College, but you're making an investment in the economic development of the county.
That's good.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you, sir.
What I've heard is they got a lot of the same problems we got. So with that said, I welcome the partnership that we've developed, because we are dealing with a lot of the same stuff. The hiring, the age, we were Nancy, I'm gonna bug you, 46% of our people are less than 2 years?
48.
48% of people who work for Sampson County.
5 years.
5 years, or 5 years or less. That's not I hope it gets better and we retain them and it grows, but right now, we're like everyone else. We're kind of a little bit on the struggle bus as far as having some knowledge and experience in positions. So we're getting there, but we welcome the opportunities that we're going to grow together. I think that it's going to be a very good opportunity. I think we all have, we see that we have a invested mutual partnership with our kids, our community, and the way we're looking to go forward. And I thank y'all for that, and I think we're going to continue to grow and be good.
Can I ask one more question, please, sir?
You can't talk, but go ahead.
I was glad.
He'll get there.
I asked the early morning group the same question I'm gonna ask you guys. What are you hearing in the community that we need to be aware of, that we need to address? I mean, the pros, the cons that's going on, the needs that we're not addressing, the needs that we are addressing, you know, issues with the proposed tax. What's the feedback you guys are getting so that we have a gauge? We're not just hearing it from the guy at the country store, we're hearing it from you too. Anybody?
I've heard, increased clarity from the board to the community, so that's been very positive. I think, you guys have been very open and forthcoming with information and provided a lot of clarity to the community, and I think it's been well received.
Country store as a guinea, I can tell you that. But you knew that, and you knew that before you even met the first time. But the general public that has children in their institutions and in our institution and that are sending them off, I think we've turned the corner in Sampson where we're close enough to the Wilmington, Raleigh, Fayetteville growth that we're seeing opportunities for our kids, and hopefully they'll stay here and work there or come back here. But I get this general feeling from the small crowd that I run with that it's we just got to bite the bullet. You get what you pay for, and it's time for us to bite that bullet.
I can say the questions I've heard are, how would we use the funds, right? So if we're gonna tax people, what is that going to, right? So we've shared kind of our facilities use, right? What are those long-range plans, right? What are all of the facility maintenance needs that we have? Like, we've tried to share that out, to Mr. Warren's point, to be communicative, right? To be transparent, that the needs are much more than what we currently have in capital outlay, right? And if you put them on a sheet, I mean, I know we're probably at $6 million a year in capital outlay needs. I would imagine they're probably close to it, right? I mean, because our buildings are so old. And so I just think that the need for moving forward and being future driven, right? That if we don't do this now, then in 5 years from now, we're gonna be looking at double the problem, right? That this is really helping us fix problems now that really were problems 10 years ago. And I think when I've had conversations with people and explain it that way, they're like, oh, well, that makes sense. But again, just the people that I've spoken to, that was their context.
And part of it's been alluded to, county manager may have said it. We've got to educate people. I get questions all the time. Where's all that lottery money? Well, in Sampson County, it built a lot of new schools, and we're paying that debt for the foreseeable future. It also goes to needs-based public school capital fund, which is how we're getting a new Hoffman High School. Yep. People need to understand that. They think, well, where's all your, there's where it is. That's how it's impacting Sampson County, and a lot of people don't know. But when you tell them, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that's how the school was built. That's how it happened. The repair and renovation part, that's how we were able to shore up most of LC cars so it doesn't leak on the kids. And they're like, really? That was a lottery money? Yeah, yes, it was. And so people just, it takes some education and just explaining to them, this is what this is for. And I think that will go a long way.
Isn't it great how education benefits everyone? You educate your public to understand what you're trying to do, and they're receptive to what you're trying to push forward to. Just education.
I think Mr. Hudson said it best this morning to us, is that of all the people have a tendency to distrust government. But of all the different governments out there, people have a tendency to trust local government the most. It's because the commissioners, like you said, go to church and go to the store. The school board members are the same way. So we want to honor that trust and deserve that trust with the way we act. And that's why transparency has been a very big thing for Mr. McClam, Chairman McClam, and the board, and for myself. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, you had something?
Oh, yeah.
it's been so long, I forgot. Okay, I would just like to say to Dr. King, when we were doing our goal-setting plans, we were given agencies in which we were gonna be liaisons for, and I am your liaison. So I would appreciate, whenever you need me, whenever you wanna talk about things or whatever, I'm here at your disposal. So just, I think you got my number, you ought to have it, I'll call it. Just let me know, whatever it is I can relay back to the other commissioners or whatever I can do to help Sampson County grow, even more than they've already grown. That's my desire. And if we have the same desire, working together, it can happen.
That's right.
Thank you.
So I'd like to ask one final question is, if stars were to align and we were allowed to be able to put before the community a referendum to implement Article 46, sales tax at a half a penny, Mr. Hudson has indicated and encouraged everyone to support that measure, but could we count on each one of y'all to do your part to inform the public and to specifically state, please vote this measure in for our good?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's kind of what I was trying to get ready to say. That I think we need to do a better job of telling our story. Right? Everybody in this room, around this table, in this room knows the story. But what about those other people who are not here and our constituents out in our community, your community? How do they know what, like John was saying, how do they know where is the lottery money going? Or what are you doing with all that money? There are TV ads. I know the Jones Senior High School former principal has an ad on, a TV ad about what Jones County did with the lottery money. But how many of our people really know what John Lowe knows, or Wesley Johnson, or Eric knows? We need to do a better job, particularly if you're gonna do a campaign for increase in tax. You gotta tell your story. You gotta be out there in the forefront. You gotta use the media to tell what you are doing and what results you're getting from the money we've already received from whatever funding sources that are. All the grants that I heard, Clinton City has written, Sampson County Schools has written, the county government has received. Who knows that? Just the people in this room for the most part.
To either a professional grant writer on staff. A serious question, I mean.
She may not be trained as that, but she's wonderful.
I know we use our public information officer. I'll say, in honesty, I use ChatGPT a lot. We use our team, right, to really say, help us write these, right, tell us the problem. I think my people know that I'm all about grants, because it's not always coming to you with my handout, it's going to everyone else with my handout too, right? And I try to come to you all last, because I know that there's funds out there. I know that there's opportunities to really help us do what we want to do without local funding. So
My question is, do you have anybody in the house that we could utilize as well?
What you heard him say a while ago was we want to band together and we use your department and you use our department and we work together.
Kind of like the idea of the IT department having a shared IT department, have an intergovernmental grant writer.
President Bill has one. He has a good grant writer.
I don't know what y'all talking about.
Lord. All right. Everyone good? I think it's been a very good meeting, a very good, knowledgeable gathering, and I would love to do this again.
Absolutely.
If y'all were all in, I know that you guys we got some things set up, but I think this has been very educational, very forthcoming for everyone, and I would love to say that we kind of have something like this again, that we're not in that setting with a room, and it's just us, where we can really talk and maybe grow forward as we go. I think it's a plus.
Yeah.
I really do.
I like it.
And I want to say also to Dr. Johnson, the same thing, the liaison, we
Yes, yeah.
get together and produce even better than what we have. You talk a lot, but
Absolutely. You have my attention every Monday, 12 o'clock.
I do.
And the community college has already reached out to their, they done looked across the table and threw something at him. They didn't know who he is. So.
He heard.
He's sick, we know.
Short and tubby.
Y'all keep noticing I keep moving him this way. It's not, I mean, we're good buddies, but that matter, he's sick. I'm trying not to get that way.
It's a sign of
Mr. Chase, you got anything else?
No, sir, I don't. Thank you all very much
thank
for showing what good leadership means.
You want us to close out?
If the board has nothing else to discuss today, you're free to adjourn. If you want to continue, you can take a recess while everyone else leaves, talk some more, and then adjourn.
What you want to do?
Let's have a recess and come back.
Okay, we're gonna take a recess and we'll just take a second. We'll be back. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Recess, and to get started, we're gonna throw it on you two, and our funding that we have now for our library is, I think, intact, and I'm gonna send it over to Jeff, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, earlier, Commissioners, we talked about new money that's come in from private sector, thanks to all those people that have donated. And with that private sector money, library hours have been restored. It's our understanding that at least restored back to where they were prior to the anticipated cuts. Okay. So our Director of Libraries is here with us, and our HR Director, to talk about, with money coming back in, where does that need to be in terms of personnel to restaff or reopen the library? Is that full amount after July 1?
Okay.
Okay, so I do want to go back for a moment. So I actually really had 10 part-time employees, but I chose not to fill one of them in anticipation of the budget year being difficult. And we were able, do you remember how I said I can make almost anything work temporarily but not forever? So the funding numbers were based on getting more part-time hours, enough to get that back in the mix. So with the money that we have received, in order for me to staff the libraries with those hours that I will now be able to pay for through June 30th of 2026, I actually need 3 part-time. They may not get up to the max, but if I don't add the third one, they would all max out, and there would be hours left that were on the table that could not be used.
Can you explain that differently? Hours left on the table that cannot be used.
So what I mean by that is that everyone would be at 999 hours out of 9 people, and then I'll be honest, I can't tell you the exact number that would be left, but there may be 300 or 400 hours left that cannot be put onto those people. That may be a high number, to help with staffing. And do you want, sorry?
No, go ahead and finish. I was just going to explain where those numbers come from.
Okay.
With our part-time staff, we tell our department heads they're limited to 950 hours per year. That keeps them part-time status. That means there's no benefits involved. And so sometimes we go a little over that, so that gives us a little wiggle room, but that's our hiring rate. And what Kelsey is sharing, that with the anticipated cuts to the libraries and closing Garland and everything that's been discussed, she left one of those part-time positions vacant when the person left us in January. She just didn't fill it. She rearranged schedules. When we thought we were closing Garland and we were going to be short on funds, we pulled 2 more of her part-time people, and they're covering this front desk now.
Yep.
At limited hours, so we did away with the full-time position. So that's 3 part-time positions that she needs to keep libraries open at the same level of service that they were getting at December 31st. So she needs to bring in these 3 part-time people, but they will be time limited. This is a temporary arrangement through the end of June 30th, 2026.
I'm a little confused, and get me wrong, I don't see an issue with the number of part-time employees, and she's got 15, as long as she stays within her budget and doesn't go under the hours, because if Miss Nancy's part-time and she only works 5 hours this week, but this works 15, people rotating in and out, I think locking them in that you can only have 6 or 3 or something, as long as they stay within their budget on the arranged hours and don't exceed that. If you got 15 or 5, I don't think it makes an impact in our number. It doesn't impact our insurance, it doesn't impact our benefits or anything. So I mean, I think we're getting in the weeds on that. I think it's just best to leave that to y'all to determine and stay within the guidelines.
Stay within the budgeted amount.
That's all I got to do.
I think we're getting in the weeds when we say you gotta do it with 4 or 5 or 6.
Well, what I said yesterday was mainly with regard to perception that we're increasing head count, even if it is just part-time, but so many part-time people increases full-time equivalents, you know, so. But as long as we're staying within the confines of what we're able to do with these donations, we'll do what we have to do. So if that means we have to add 2 part-time positions to make these hours work, and we have the money now to do it, let's do it.
And they'll be hired with the understanding they're temporary.
Temporary,
Right. For 1 year.
That's right.
It's got to be revisited again, so.
I'm sorry, it's just, yesterday, I wasn't thinking at the time, but
Well, what I said yesterday was kind of getting into the weeds too much, but I'm constantly worried about
the numbers.
The numbers and the perception that
you,
it entails, you know, like you said, about the people digging the hole and you got 2 guys standing over watching them. That's always the perception is this, all government's good for is taking 3 people to dig 1 hole.
And I appreciate your concern on the FTA. I did not, yesterday, I'll be honest with you, I didn't comprehend it at the time. It just hit me, and that's.
Yeah. But now that we have the donations, I'm not gonna say, forget about the donations because it requires us to hire people. You know, people have been generous and we want to honor that generosity. So let's move forward with the plan.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I think all this discussion though helps clarify where we are and how we got here. And so it is good discussion, so we create that understanding.
And it helps the library.
The library is good.
Yes, thank y'all all very much. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you trying to keep the numbers down because it doesn't make the numbers look different and the perception doesn't change. But also, like I said, we don't want to get in, if you need to hire a couple more people because these other people can't work or they got their move, they found another job, or you don't ever know what's going to happen in that. And so I guess what we're trying to say is you got some discretionary movement by talking to her and we move forward.
The other thing I wanted to mention is we've got the funding in place for next year, and we're doing this. We're going to be contemplating this biannual budget or whatever, not budget, but biannual plan. So we can't just assume that next year the donations will be there.
Yes.
But we need to definitely be working on trying to drive traffic to the libraries that we can show that they're, like particularly in Garland, we need to show that there's a need there, and that people, hopefully through this pain of this budget process, it will make people aware that if you don't use the library, the library is going to be closed because the county can't afford just to keep people down there for nobody to ever show up. So please do what you can to try to increase foot traffic any way you can through media or whatever, social media.
And I like the way you're tracking it. That gives us a number that we got it. When we sit down as a board, we got true numbers to look
I
at.
think she said hour by hour yesterday.
Well, like I said, I'm gonna do that for a period of time to get it for you, but that will help us too. That will help us as far as staffing and stuff. We have to keep certain numbers for the state library for our state funding anyway. But I think there's some more specific numbers we can try to track to help y'all have a better understanding.
That'll be good.
So that's what I mentioned as well to you yesterday. And actually to your point as well, I do know Mayor Butler already spoke for Roseboro that she would like us to meet and talk and see what ideas we can come up with. And I do plan. I have not gotten that specific notation from other towns yet, but I would like to sit down and talk with them as well.
That's good.
That's good. I like that.
Can you also track what services that they use when they come in there? So you know what you really need, what's working and what's not?
So we discussed that as well. As far as computers, that is already tracked. The one thing that is not tracked that I need to get, I guess, with maybe Chris or maybe someone at STAR is our Wi-Fi use. I have not been aware that that is something that we can pull, and we're not required to pull that for the state library, but I could get with them to see if they could pull it. We could come up with some sort of form to keep at the desk to see what people are using. I mean, there's a few things that they may use self-service that we might not notice, especially in Clinton because the library's bigger and you might be in the children's room helping someone and someone else might be on desk helping someone and they're using a computer, well, not a computer because that's tracked automatically, but they're using the scanner in the computer lab. But that's definitely something I kind of already mentioned to you, just maybe not in specifics, but trying to track what people are using more. So.
I'm gonna throw this out, and I kind of touched on it Monday night. Moving forward, we've got to change the concept of library services. I mean, we need to look at can we turn the branches not only into a library, but a remote customer service site for county government. Like the little planning kiosk over here, somebody can go up to the Newton Grove site, they can go in and fill out their application online, or somebody needs a copy of a police report, they can go in and then whoever's at the sheriff's office can email it to them up there and they print it off and it saves the person what's going to make it viable for our citizens and make it viable for you moving forward. So that, when you think library, you just think checking out books. And it's far more than what you've gone into, and I understand that. But we also need to find ways. I understand you've looked at the potential for a passport center at one of the branches. Applaud you for that effort, thinking ahead.
I have to give him the credit for that.
Applaud you for that.
I got that idea from a citizen.
but what can we do? What other county services that we have that we could tie as remote branches to where the citizens could have a service center they can go to, save a trip to Clinton.
Because not all citizens are able to come to Clinton every time. They can just go pick it up at Garland or Newton Grove or.
I mean, I was going to tell you, I don't know what some of those things require, but we're there. So if a county employee who's can do some of the services now, if it's something we can do because they're just going to send it to us, like the police report. I don't know if they could just send it to us and okay. So I don't know what the how I don't know a lot of details about how some of those things work. I don't know if some of those are things where another county employee would have to come out, but I mean, I'm totally open to any of that. The one thing is as far as private space, if someone needs to meet privately, we don't really have that at any of our branches, but that's something I would like to explore if we could find some grant funding or other things to find a way at least to make a space that's private for 2 or 3 people. So
the space part, the private space doesn't really bother. It's just if there's a way that you could tie in with other government services, the stuff that you can reasonably do, that would give you additional strong additional strength in customer service in that area. And another feather in the hat of the library.
It would be a great satellite service for DSS, but they have to do applications, reviews for people, and they could meet their clients there, just like all of them in Harold. In fact, if they got a review, they could meet them in Garland at the library. Garland is closer than Clinton, and that would help them out a lot. There are a lot of things that DSS does that could be satellite.
And save monies on, and increase your traffic and save money on the other side too.
Well, I think all that's possible. I just think I need to talk to the people doing these things to see what the specifics are and how, what do we need to know about, how is this gonna work and all that. I mean, it's definitely possible.
Survey your department heads on services they feel like reporters.
Actually, there's something that's already in place. If I could bring this up.
Now, they would have to send employees to you, because there's no way you can do all that. Just like DSS, people that take applications, they send them to your agents to take them.
So, commissioners, you earlier had goals, and these were your goals. So, just let me go through one. Let's see if I can just find the one I was talking about. We had, of course, number 10, evaluate the cost efficiency of the Sampson County Public Library System, library, finance, human resources. Kelsey was the gold champion. So what this is the goal number of the commissioners. This is description of the goal. We had departments involved and goal champions. So, for instance, we had like economic development. There's Ray up here. Maintain the unique rural agricultural climate of Sampson County while encouraging smart growth in the tax base. Economic development planning, there's Brad and Ray. But going down, we also had, if I could find it, but there's basically like innovation and the customer service piece. There's a transportation advisory committee. Foster partnerships to collectively develop a work environment. So basically what happened is a lot of stuff had to be done between ARPA and between finance and budgeting and the audit and everything else. Goal champions, while there, we put this to the side for a moment. So I think that one thing that would be very easy to do is whenever we're looking at goal champions, wherever that is, which I can't find, but whichever goal that was about doing the best public service to the county, that team be established, and it's not so much the cost efficiency of the public library system, but if we're talking about putting together that team by which we're going to have better service to the public, let the team meet with departments cross-departmentally and with Kelsey and make recommendations on what types of services across all the departments would better give you customer service to the citizens of the county. I just wish I could find it for a second, but anyway, you've already got it in place. Do you see it as it's scrolling through?
You could search it, though.
Oh, well, you could search it if I was that good.
Click on the B, the top column there, and then go to find. And then find, and then type whatever your keyword is, like innovation.
Oh, well, right there, number 34.
Oh, I saw that one. I wasn't sure that was it.
So, create a culture in which the highest level of customer service is the goal of every employee. Well, you don't get a higher customer service than immediate access to the services that you need close to your home, and instead of having to drive everywhere. All departments were tagged as being responsible, all department heads, but you actually you've had two people in here for a couple days, Dana Hall and Brad Hardison. Those were the two individuals, and Jimmy Thornton was there as well. because, in a way, because he does his own customer service. I mean, he's his own elected officials, and we don't necessarily tell the sheriff what to do. But if you have a cross-departmental team, I had tagged Miss Dana Hall, congratulations, and Mr. Brad Hardison, who's not here right now, as being 2 team leaders, along with all the other department heads, to create a culture in which the highest level of customer service is the goal of every employee. So I would assign that project of county service centers in libraries to that team, call them a Tiger team, and that's their first order of business. And by the way, all the rest of these teams involving your goals, now that the budget by hopefully next Friday is done, it's time to pick that back up and have teams working on your goals. So we set them aside for the moment. Now you can pick them back up.
I like your idea, Eric. I think it's a good idea to try to integrate where we can within law and within reason, more services to be available to the public at the branch libraries to help drive traffic and to help the public see the advantage of having that local library.
Well, it's not just advantages, it's advantages for having the library, but it's an advantage to that individual. If they'll use it, if we offer the services, it's a use.
That's right.
I like it. So now you've been challenged.
Pick up the kids can pick up.
Yeah, they can pick up their application at the library.
And if they do it, I don't think we need to do cash. But if they do debit card, have a way to pay it there.
Paying what?
Debit card.
Hey, what are they paying for?
Recreation fees.
Recreation fees.
Well, one of my biggest things that I'm trying to implement right now is finance. For a long time, and I think based on this budget experience, we can agree that not just finance, but a lot of county functions have been kind of in the dark ages. Just doing,
She said that out loud.
just doing the same thing, over and over, kind of that we've been always doing the same thing over, the same way. And partially because I've lost 2 employees in finance in the last 3 years, the one recently, but I lost one 3 years ago. I'm having to come up with new and better ways to do things. We still have to do the same amount of work, but we've got to figure out ways to do it differently. So part of that strategy is incorporating a lot of technology into the processes that we're starting to do. Currently, in most of the county, we're writing handwritten receipts in triplicate. We're doing manual spreadsheets to make journal entries for our daily deposits. Then someone else is keying them in. We're doing paper requisitions in order to get purchase orders. Our financial software has the capability to put all those types of things in a workflow where we're not duplicating efforts, just minimizing human error, keying errors, for instance. And I think that's where we're headed. One thing I was thinking about for the library would be potentially a payment kiosk for the water department. The only thing with that is there's going to be a cost involved. And normally, if a customer comes all the way to Clinton to pay their bill at the actual water department, they can either pay with a check or a debit card. They're not assessed any type of fees. In order to set up a kiosk, and I'm not sure if our Tyler Payments has that capability, but if they do, I think that there would be a fee assessed at that kiosk in order to pay for the kiosk, to pay for the services. Either the customer would have to pay the convenience fee or the county would. We don't want to increase, our fees taken on that fee, so it'd have to be something that was looked into, but.
Can I have a comment about that?
Sure.
One thing I would think though is if you put that in a further away place like Newton Grove or somewhere, maybe they're willing to pay the fee because it was convenient. It was even more convenient because they didn't have to drive and spend gas.
That's right.
So I mean, I don't like credit card fees, but to a lot of people, if they didn't have to drive, it might be a wash depending on how far they have to drive.
Yeah, I'd say like for recreation specifically, because you mentioned that, so we have a lot of people that will just call us because they're having trouble doing it online, and we'll help them do it online because they don't want to come in and they'll pay, we have a fee right now where they have to pay to do it online. But even people that are having that issue that are local in town, that could go in and Kelsey basically just walk them through how to do it, because some of it's just unfamiliarity of people that are grandparents trying to help, or, maybe parents or kids that are trying to do it themselves, just to have somebody that's closer by to be able to help with that, that's a little more familiar with technology.
And there are areas still in our county that do not have great Wi-Fi and all that stuff.
Yes.
And the libraries do, and they can go ahead and make payments there through the internet, so.
Or they're trying to do it on a mobile device, and that's, a big issue, is some of our systems are not compatible with mobile devices. So if they had a computer where they could sit down and do that, and we're kind of directing them in those areas that are closer to their homes.
You have an opportunity. Your library reimagined.
Some of the things y'all are mentioning, people do use us for other things anyway, but maybe not targeted to county services.
Right.
People come in, again, like I mentioned yesterday, they need to use us to fax in bills for reimbursement for things. They use the services we have for important life things. I think there was another individual, apparently his electricity's cut off, and he's on a payment plan with Duke. So he comes in to fax paperwork in, working towards getting his lights back on. So, we're there, but being more targeted to help people realize, hey, this county service we can help you with.
Yeah.
I think that's a great opportunity as well. So, but I just would, again, it would be a team effort, because it would have to be with the other departments to see, hey, what are some things that we can help with. So.
All right, Tiger Team, you direct.
Both Jones Onslow EMC and on Wausau, we use payment kiosks. We put them in the community. We had them in pharmacies, grocery stores, and normally we would partner with, so we didn't do it just on our own, but 2 or 3 different people that needed payments taken would jump in together on a kiosk, and they would share the rent of the kiosk. So, for instance, this is my old employer, Jones Onslow EMC, and we've got 2 new self-service PaySite. The name is PaySite, is what we use, kiosks. One is conveniently located outside Piggly Wiggly in Swansboro, and the other one's in the vestibule of Jones Onslow. And then we've got one also at Market Street in Trenton as well. So those kiosks, they're great. Very easy to use.
Okay, I like it.
Easy.
Put one in each library, shouldn't be 2.
We're not trying to tell you how to do your job. We're just trying to offer advice to help you be sustainable in the future and to continue to provide quality services. That's all we're not trying to boss you around.
I didn't think that at all. I didn't think that at all.
We just want to see the library succeed.
No, I appreciate that, I do. And again, all those things you were mentioning, I think, depending on what the department heads say, the requirements, if they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you have to be a social worker to do that, then I guess we can't do that. But it's funny, people come to the library to ask where they need to vote. That's something we already do. We pull it up, we say, give us your name, we look you up, we tell you where to vote.
But Kelsey, you can have scheduled hours for a social worker to be at that library.
I would love that.
You could have scheduled hours for the tax office, especially when you come up on reval. Have some of your tax clerks have Q&A sessions at the library. We did town hall meetings at the library, but those are spaces that you have access to. You don't own all of them like you do Clinton, I guess, but
You don't own any
except Clinton, but you have access to them, so you can go out and take it to the public. Sure.
Right, and that is why I mentioned, though, talking about the social worker thing, that is something, I don't know if we can do it, it's gonna take money, but if I can find a source of some money to at least make a small private area. I think in Newton Grove, she said she thought that was totally doable. We have a little spot tucked to the side. I think there's something we could do to make it maybe with panels like in an office or something.
Like a conference
Yes,
room?
like I mean, it's not gonna be a real live conference room because you can't build, I mean, we can't build. But there are like soundproof panels that go up pretty high that you could possibly purchase. There's even these little booths, but they're very expensive, that you can drop in and it's soundproof and people can meet. But I don't, again, stuff like that takes funding, so I have to investigate that. But I think that would help, say if the social worker wants to come. We have people who want to come meet in Newton Grove, I think maybe even more often, but they want it to be private, and there's nowhere to meet privately. So that's something I'm looking at. I can't make any promises, but.
This is nothing new because it was in place before, years ago, back in the 90s. I would go out to, we call them satellite places. I would go out to the satellite place, I'd tell my clients where I was gonna be, and they would meet me there. Because they'd rather drive there, like to Garland, than to come all the way to Clinton. So if it was my day to take applications, I would have them to meet me there, and it would work just fine. Nobody complained, they liked it. So,
we just need to get that, I guess, opportunity or the direction we're going in out so the people in the communities will know what we're trying to do. It's just another service that the county gives that I think will enhance you and the people you get to see, and it will also help our citizens to have a little bit healthier lifestyle and maybe a little bit more convenient for them.
That's it. That's the word. That's it. More people.
Y'all good?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Okay. All right. What else you got?
I wanted to take an opportunity, since we come back from recess, we found the thing on the table about the museum, and I don't know if y'all had a chance to look at
I saw it.
Give what each commissioner's thoughts were on it.
Take a minute, read it, read over, guys, please. Phew.
You opposed 20 and you said about another 20.
God, that's all I like about it, can't see. I'm reading. $14,500 the building. Yes, it's 16, 17, 18, verse 20. I saw that. That's the one that Frank.
They should be offering some sort of goodwill discount.
How do y'all feel about How do y'all feel about the Department of Library and Cultural?
Well, they put the museum under the library.
Thank you. Into forming a whole new partner, a whole new department.
Does anybody have the attached revenue? Because they didn't provide the revenue.
No.
It says they provided the revenue, but I don't.
I can't find it.
It's on the top sheet.
Where you see that at?
It's about $6,500 if I remember.
Yeah, but it says attached. It listed, but it says attached.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
I didn't see the attachment.
projected revenues and operations, it says the tax $6,800.
Yeah.
I know pretty much they got on the box in the front where they take their donations. Probably pretty much going.
What it sounds. I need to take time to go over there.
One day, we're gonna figure out when the meeting comes, we'll go.
That one actually take over there too, trying to get over there tomorrow.
Their projected revenue is a $6,000 contribution from the city of Clinton, $300 from a donation box, and $500 from individuals.
So they do
So
get
the
6,000.
city does give them 6,000. Well, it sounds like we're their only, basically, by the large part, their bread and butter.
Looks that way.
Oh, that's 6,000.
Well, I just wondered what y'all's thoughts were.
No.
I might would still suggest that we wait till Monday night, because I imagine that there's probably gonna be a entourage of people.
Yeah, I went to see a lawyer at lunchtime. I didn't know that he was on the board till I walked in his office, but anyway, that was another story. He's on the board at the museum. But to his, what was said, I won't call no names, but he said that I understand where you guys are coming from. He says, I've done a lot of stuff for the county and the city, and I know what you're battling. He said, and I appreciate where you're at and what you're doing. He said, we'll make do somehow. He said, but I don't want that to guide you in any direction. We stood there and talked about some other stuff.
Yeah.
But he was actually on the board, and we talked a little bit, and then he was very informative for me. It helped me. But at that time I hadn't seen this either, so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Oh, I think it might would be helpful for Monday night if we just wait and see what people say. That way, you may have people there that are the people that will speak in favor of don't raise my taxes, cut everything possible, and they get to hear the people that are upset about the museums, so it gives them an opportunity to hear one another's perspective.
true.
At the end of the day, I would lean probably in favor of maybe upping to 20,000 some.
I'm agreeing with you on that one, and I think we talked about it. We talked earlier, I leaned over here, but even before I saw this, we had talked about maybe doing something, so.
Yeah.
I'm all in favor of just kinda
let's
wait
see.
till we hear what the general public has to say Monday night, and then we'll reconvene on Wednesday, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
Is that good with y'all?
yeah, that's good. And that's all I wanted to talk about.
Well, you fine.
So this is then the proposed agenda for Monday night. Convene a special meeting in the county auditorium, invocation pledge of allegiance, approval of agenda, public hearing regarding the proposed budget, then any board discussion that you might have on the budget, if any, and then you'd recess until 1 p.m. on Wednesday, June 18th in the Commissioners' Conference Room, Building C, Sampson County Government Center.
Okay.
That's all there is to it.
So that leads me to are we just gonna present the 6 cent Monday
Well,
night?
it's just two separate hearings.
There's no presentation.
All it is public hearing. That's all you want to hear. You hear them talk.
Okay.
We do
And
need
then we'll talk about what we wanna do.
We need to do two public
That ain't-
hearings,
okay.
one for.
Then we'll talk on Wednesday at 1 o'clock.
Economic development.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can add that.
Commissioners, it looks like there's another item.
Well, I may have not been exactly clear about what I was trying to say.
I didn't mean to.
No, that's not a problem. That's not a problem.
Is that it?
I would have never done what I did if I'd have known that.
Public hearing regarding
That's not an issue.
I would have approached you about it differently, but I just.
Thank you.
It's like a power.
Is that in the budget? Or
It's
just-
It says in there, but it has to be a separate public hearing.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so it has to be a
So
separate.
separate.
That's good, that's good.
So I think we just do the other one first.
They come over.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and
So we had to have.
Stephanie, if you could do that with a recess,
Because
recess and 7 adjournment.
That was probably a better way to.
Yeah.
That true.
Okay, so that's all, that's what it'd be. Thank you.
All right, y'all good with that?
Yeah.
All right, I will take a motion to adjourn, correct, sir?
Make such a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? On the hands. Have a good weekend. Happy Father's Day to every father in here.
Yeah.